Chapter 34-36. The left guardian was also stunned. Then, his face darkened. You dare to kill him? His voice was filled with merciless killing intent. Lin Xian laughed coldly when he heard that. Why wouldn't he? He wanted my life, so it's only right for me to kill him. Why? Do you think you can protect his life with your presence? What a joke. Who do you think you are? God? Or the ruler of the world? I killed him because he deserved to die. Secondly, I slapped your face. You don't have the right to act all high and mighty in front of me. Hurry up and hand over the great destruction spear. Otherwise, I'll bury the entire second hall with you. Facing the left guardian, Lin Xian was even more domineering. The surrounding people were stunned. They couldn't believe it. That's the left guardian. He's even more powerful than Elder Hunyuan. The left guardian was already a third heaven sage. Now, his strength was unfathomable and extremely terrifying. Isn't Lin Xian courting death by going against such a person? You're too arrogant. Do you think you can be arrogant in front of me just because you defeated Hunyuan? You're too weak. The left guardian's aura was too terrifying. It was so terrifying that it was unbelievable. Lin Xian frowned and sneered. You're much more powerful than Elder Hunyuan. But so what? Lin Xian wasn't even a small saint yet. He could escape from the Vermilion Bird Palace and even negotiate with a great saint in the Demon Cultivation Valley. He didn't care about the left guardian. Left guardian, hurry up and hand over the great destruction spear. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Elder Mubai also walked up and stood in front of Lin Xian. Why, Mubai? Are you going to protect him? The left guardian frowned. Elder Mubai snorted. I think you're muddle-headed. This is Hall Master Lin. He's the future hope of the Langya Star. I hope you won't make any more mistakes. Hurry up and hand over the spear. Elder Mubai didn't hold back anymore. This was because he realized that Lin Xian was much more powerful and talented than he had imagined. They definitely had to rope in someone like him. Therefore, Mubai might have had some misgivings before and was prepared to let the people from the law enforcement hall intervene. But now, Elder Mubai couldn't control anything. He had to stand on Lin Xian's side. What great spear of destruction! I don't know. The left protector snorted coldly. Elder Mubai shouted angrily. Seems like you won't shed a tear until you see the coffin? He directly made his move, and a terrifying light rushed up like a vast ocean. Courting death. You dare to attack me? The left protector roared as the two of them clashed. Violent power swept out in all directions. He was even stronger than when Lin Xian fought against Elder Primordial Chaos. Lin Xian's figure flashed and retreated far away, sword chi circling around his body. The Crimson Dragon and the others also came to his side. At the same time, they sucked in a breath of cold air. Wow, this Mubai is so strong. Previously, when he saw the other party and Elder Hunyuan, he thought that the other party was only at the second heaven. But from the looks of it now, that wasn't the case. The left protector was at least a sage at the third heaven. Doesn't this mean that Elder Mubai is also a sage at the third heaven? That should be it. Lin Xian felt the violent laws in front of him and nodded slightly. The people from the second hall were also shocked. They didn't expect things to turn out this way. Everyone retreated far away. In the center, the two peerless experts were fighting. Both of them had exchanged close to 300 moves. Suddenly, Elder Mubai roared, and a terrifying aura rushed out from his body. In an instant, the left protector was sent flying. At the same time, he stretched out his palm and directly pierced through the left protector's body. He forcefully pulled out a black weapon from the left protector's body. Great spear of destruction! The Crimson Dragon screamed. Lin Xian's eyes widened. He didn't expect it to be in the hands of the other party. Moreover, what made his face turn gloomy was that the other party seemed to be refining the great spear of destruction. There were countless blood-red lines on it. However, it seemed that the lines weren't completely refined. In the sky, Elder Mubai looked at this scene and frowned. How dare you refine it? You're courting death. As he said that, an extremely terrifying law appeared on his palm and forcibly obliterated all the blood-red runes. The left protector screamed. He felt that his soul connection had been severed. Damn it! How dare you destroy my soul imprint? He roared furiously. However, Elder Mubai didn't care. He waved his hand and threw the great spear of destruction to Lin Xian. Hallmaster Lin, you go first. I'll hold them off. Elder Mubai's voice could be heard. At this moment, he didn't look like a peacemaker anymore. Instead, he looked like a supreme god of war. All right, Lin Xian nodded. He also hesitated. Holding the great spear of destruction, he waved his hand and turned to leave. Hurry up and stop him. Don't let him go. The left protector regained his body and roared furiously. Countless experts from the second hall rushed forward and sealed the area. They couldn't leave. They stared at Lin Xian. You're courting death. The great spear of destruction swept out and smashed all the people in front of him into pieces. Those who block me shall die. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous like the god of death. The surrounding experts from the second hall subconsciously took 3 steps back and trembled all over. He's too powerful. He could kill Elder Hunyuan even without the great spear of destruction. Now that he had the great spear of destruction, his power would definitely increase again. He might even be able to fight against a third heaven sage. How could they be a match for him? Everyone, stop. At this moment, another voice was heard. At this moment, a few figures flew out from the palace in the mountain range in the distance. Seeing these figures, the people from the second hall all screamed and cheered. It was the 8th Elder, the 6th Elder, and the Right Protector. That's great. They all cheered. Although the 8th Elder and the 6th Elder weren't as powerful as Elder Hunyuan, they weren't too far off. More importantly, the Right Protector was also here. The Right Protector wasn't any weaker than the Left Protector. He was at least a third heaven sage. Such a person could definitely take down Lin Xian. Not good. The Crimson Dragon and the North Demon's faces changed. Lin Xian furrowed his brows as well. Another third celestial layer expert had arrived. He took a deep breath and was ready to fight. In the distance, the Left Protector also laughed. Mubai, let's see how you're going to stop me this time. Elder Mubai also stopped attacking. He turned around and stared at the Right Custodian as he asked coldly, "Are you really going to fight? Think carefully. The consequences aren't something that the two of you can bear." Elder Mubai's voice was filled with endless authority. Mubai, don't you understand? At this point, it's already out of our control. We have our own difficulties too. Is it that old man who wants this thing? What? Elder Mubai's eyes narrowed. Lin Xian also frowned. Although he didn't know who this old man was, he didn't know who he was. But judging from the tone of both sides, he should be an extremely powerful person. Coupled with the words of the Crimson Dragon and the others, could it be that some old fossil under the dragon vein wanted the great spear of destruction? Chapter 34-37. If that was the case, things would be troublesome. Such a living fossil, regardless of status or strength, was a terrifying existence. Even the palace master of the Langya Palace might not be able to suppress it. The Crimson Dragon and the North Demon thought of the same thing and their faces turned dark. Kid, why don't we leave the Langistar quickly? I don't think this place is suitable for us to stay. Lin Xian's eyes flickered, and he seemed to be deep in thought. Suddenly, a cold snort could be heard. Was that so? Just which Grand Elder's idea was it? I want to see who dares to be so bold at this time. The voice was extremely domineering. Lin Xian and the rest were stunned while Mubai smiled. Greetings, senior brother. Senior brother. Lin Xian and the rest sucked in a breath of cold air. Mubai was already extremely terrifying. His senior brother would definitely be even more terrifying. Judging from the other party's tone, it seemed like he did not care about the Supreme Elder at all. The Right Guardian and the Left Guardian's faces were extremely ugly. The experts from the second hall also began to tremble. Many of them had never seen that person before. However, the two great protectors took a deep breath and bowed respectfully. Greetings, Supreme Elder. The people of the second hall were dumbfounded. Supreme Elder? Is the person who came out the Supreme Elder? They hurriedly bowed and prostrated themselves. Tell me, which old bastard is it that's secretly playing tricks on me? The Supreme Elder on the stage said coldly in the sky. The Right Guardian and the Left Guardian felt their scalps go numb and their bodies were drenched in cold sweat. This scene was simply too inconceivable. Previously, when the two Guardians appeared, They were like peerless gods of war. Countless people were excited and shocked as if they were saviors who could save the second hall. But now, these two unparalleled powerhouses were just like ants, shivering in fear. Is this the power of the Supreme Elder? It's too terrifying. No wonder the people of the second hall dared to snatch the Great Destruction Spear. They must have the support of a Supreme Elder. However, he didn't expect that Lin Xian would also have the support of the Grand Elder. Even Lin Xian and the others were surprised by this. It seemed that there was no need for them to leave. They should be very safe here. This matter ends here. Tell the person behind you to stop. If he has any complaints, tell him to come to me. Yes. The left and right custodians bowed and said, not daring to raise their heads. The Grand Supreme Elder snorted coldly. With a wave of his sleeve, Mu Bai, Lin Xian, and the others turned into a ray of light, piercing through the sky and disappearing. After the other party left, the protector let out a sigh of relief. As for the people from the second hall, it was as if they had returned from the gates of hell. On the other side, Lin Xian and the others appeared in a palace. The Grand Elder stood there with his hands clasped behind his back, curiously sizing up Lin Xian. Xian Er quickly said, thanking the Supreme Elder for his help. You don't have to thank me. Little fellow, I also heard that you brought back the Supreme Sage Dharma idol from the Void Ocean and suppressed the demonic aura of the Langistar. Logically speaking, you are the benefactor of the Langistar. Moreover, you have now joined the Langistar. Naturally, you are one of us. The previous situation was just a small group of people's petty thoughts. It has nothing to do with the main will of the Langistar. I hope you can understand this. I understand. Lin Xian nodded. The Grand Supreme Elder said this to dispel his worries. After such a thing happened, it was inevitable that Lin Xian would not be on guard or prepare to leave the Langistar. However, the Grand Supreme Elder's words should make Lin Xian feel more at ease. Recently, due to the situation outside, the few old farts under the dragon vein have awakened. Someone must be thinking of something. Don't worry, I will go back and negotiate with them. They probably won't do anything again. Senior brother, what about the situation outside? Elder Mu Bai was also a little anxious at this moment because the current situation was very bad for the Langistar. I am here this time to talk about the situation outside. We will talk about this later. As he spoke, the Grand Supreme Elder looked at Lin Xian again. Little guy, I think very highly of you. This is my token. In the future, if you have any problems on the Langistar, just use my token. I will see who dares to do anything to you. Thank you very much, Senior. Lin Xian took the token and held it in his hand. The corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. After that, the Grand Supreme Elder left with Mu Bai, leaving only Lin Xian and the rest. Damn, we are finally safe this time. The Crimson Dragon heaved a sigh of relief. With such a powerful Grand Supreme Elder supporting them, the people from the second hall would probably not dare to do anything to them. This Grand Supreme Elder is very powerful. I wonder who he is. The Northern Demon's eyes also flickered. Lin Xian held the token in his hand. It was a jade pendant. The front side was engraved with a blue sky, and the back side was engraved with the word, Fong. It was probably the Grand Supreme Elder's surname. Elder Fong? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He put away the jade pendant and said, let's go back. They tore through the void and returned to the 8th hall. Next, Lin Xian and the rest went into seclusion. Lin Xian needed to consolidate his cultivation. The Crimson Dragon and the Northern Demon also went into seclusion. Because they had returned from the Void Palace Ocean, they were worried about Lin Xian's safety, so they did not go into seclusion to cultivate. Now that Lin Xian was a sage, they naturally had to seize the time and try their best to break through. Previously in the Void Palace Ocean, they had obtained many treasures. In addition to the resources of the 8th hall, Lin Xian also had an even more important treasure, which was the Great Sage Tower. He had asked Black Mountain to use a secret technique to take some treasures from the Great Sage Tower and give them to the Crimson Dragon and the Northern Demon. Lin Xian was never stingy to his friends. At this moment, on a huge mountain peak, there was an immortal palace. There were a few figures standing there. One of them was the Grand Elder from before. Beside him was Mu Bai. The other people's auras were also very powerful. Obviously, they were all experts with strength and status on the Langistar. At this moment, they were gathered here to discuss something. Seeing that Elder Fong and Elder Mu Bai had returned, the rest of them asked. Elder Fong said coldly, "The people from the second hall were behind this. It was probably that guy who wanted to make a move. However, he probably did not dare to make a move openly, so he was suppressed by me. The things have been returned. The little guys have all gone back. I just don't know what happened next. As long as Lin Xian is fine, it's good." The others also nodded. The Grand Elder snorted. He guessed that guy would not dare to make a move again. However, he might have some tricks up his sleeve. He had to be careful. Speaking of this, he shouted, "Dreamy, come here. Greetings, Master." In the distant void, a stream of light flew over. Then, a figure half knelt in the air, facing the Grand Elder with incomparable respect. Chapter 34-38. Meng Meng was a very beautiful woman. She had an exquisite face and pointed ears. She wore a thin veil. She knelt there respectfully. The wings on her back flapped gently, bringing with them a mysterious aura. The Great Elder said, "From now on, you will go to Lin Xian's side to protect him." "Yes, I understand." Meng Meng nodded gently, then stood up. She tore open the void and disappeared. 8th Palace. Lin Xian sat in a secret room, his hands forming seals. The invisible laws on his body shone brightly. There was a jade bottle in front of him. There was a blue liquid constantly flying out of it and being absorbed into Lin Xian's body. This jade screen was naturally a treasure obtained from the Great Sage Tower. It had to be said that the treasures in the Great Sage Tower were very magical. The liquid in the jade bottle was even more effective than the best pills in Lin Xian's possession. Therefore, Lin Xian could not wait to cultivate. About 3 months later, he opened his eyes. The laws on his body were more profound than before, and they were stronger than before. He did not continue cultivating because he was not the kind of person who liked to go into seclusion for hundreds of years. He liked to explore and fight. He liked to improve his strength in intense battles. He went out for a walk and found that the Crimson Dragon and the Northern Demon were still in seclusion. He knew that the two of them would not come out until they became sages. However, he was not worried about this. He had given the two of them enough cultivation resources. He believed that with their talent, it was only a matter of time before they became sages. Therefore, after walking around, Lin Xian returned. "With my current strength, I should be able to open the Great Void Divine Furnace again." His eyes flickered with anticipation. The Great Void Divine Furnace was also a treasure. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian entered the mysterious world in his body. Then, using the 5 elemental laws as his power, he pulled the cauldron of the Great Void Divine Furnace and lifted it up. Ka. As expected, an opening appeared in the Great Void Divine Furnace. Lin Xian was delighted. He wondered what he could get from the Great Void Divine Furnace this time. Whoosh! Lin Xian had originally wanted to give it a try. He wanted to see if he could take the initiative to enter the Void Divine Furnace and obtain the treasure. However, he discovered that even if he were to become a saint, he would not be able to do so. He didn't know who had left this furnace behind. It was too scary. He could only wait for the things inside to float out. Not long after, something floated out from inside. This time, it was a rolled-up piece of beast skin. Lin Xian took the beast skin and closed the Void Divine Furnace. He withdrew the law and curiously picked up the animal skin. This piece of beast skin was very light in his hand, as if it didn't have any weight at all. He didn't know what kind of beast skin it was made from. Moreover, this piece of animal skin seemed to be very old. However, since it was something that came out of the Void Divine Furnace, it was definitely something good. Lin Xian couldn't wait to open the animal skin. The beast's skin wasn't big, and upon opening it, Zhang Xin found that it was actually a map of the stars. Lin Xian looked at it and knew that it was a map. However, the background was the universe of stars. A map? Could it be a treasure map? His interest was piqued, and he carefully studied it. Indeed, he found that one of the stars was circled with a special red mark. However, there was no marking at all. "Kid, what are you looking at?" Heishan also floated out. When he saw that there was a piece of beast skin in Lin Xian's hand, he was also surprised. I don't know what kind of map it is, but it seems to be a treasure map. A treasure map? Let me take a look. He Shan took a look and found that there was indeed a marked place. Kid, where did you get this map? Looking at this beast skin, there shouldn't be any great treasure. He Shan curled his lips. However, Lin Xian's eyes flashed. There wasn't any great treasure? If that was the case, it shouldn't have been placed in the Void Divine Record. Therefore, this must be a mysterious place. He said, since I have nothing to do recently, why don't we explore it? He Shan naturally had no objections to exploring the treasure. Lin Xian stood up and prepared to walk out of the 8th palace. However, as soon as he stepped out of the palace, he saw a figure walking toward him. Who are you? Lin Xian was stunned. He had seen all the elders of the 8th palace, but he had never seen the person in front of him. She was a tall woman with beautiful hair and a delicate face. She had 2 pointed ears, which made her look like an elf. The pair of wings on his back were translucent and looked extremely beautiful. She came to Lin Xian's side and bowed slightly. Greetings, Palace Master. Who are you? Lin Xian was surprised. My name is Meng Meng. The Grand Elder sent me to follow you. Oh. Lin Xian frowned. It was the Grand Elder with the surname Fong. He had sent someone to follow him. He guessed that the person was protecting him. After all, even if the 2nd palace didn't make a move, they would still do something in the dark. Lin Xian said, then you can follow me. However, I might have to leave the Langistar for a while. Why don't you stay in the 8th palace? Palace Master wants to leave? Meng Meng was stunned. She had heard about this new Palace Master. She knew that he was a top genius and had caused a huge commotion in the Void Ocean. At this moment, countless experts outside the Langistar were here for him. Therefore, it was too dangerous for him to go out at this time. She said, Palace Master, do you really want to go? It's not safe outside recently. Is there a teleportation formation that can send me out? Avoid those people outside. Lin Xian frowned slightly. It seemed that those people from the 8th palace had not left yet. They were really unwilling to give up. I can't make this decision. I have to ask Elder Mubai. Palace Master Lin, please wait for a while. Meng Meng quickly sent a voice transmission to Elder Mubai. Not long after, Elder Mubai came and said anxiously, Palace Master Lin, do you really want to go out? If there's anything, you can ask the others on the Langistar to help you. It's really too dangerous for you to go out now. No one can help you with this matter. Lin Xian shook his head. He had to go treasure hunting. No one could help him. He said, don't worry. Don't you believe in my strength? Even if those people are strong, I won't fight them head-on. Also, it shouldn't be a problem to send me out secretly. All right. Elder Mubai took a deep breath. He knew that a genius like Lin Xian would not be willing to be lonely. Only the most hot-blooded battles could allow him to grow. He said, then I'll send you to a nearby world. You must be careful. Also, you must let Meng Meng follow you to protect your safety. All right. Lin Xian nodded. As long as he left, it didn't matter if someone followed him. However, he still asked, Elder Mubai, is the situation outside very serious? Is there anything I can help with? After all, this matter started because of him. Chapter 34-39. Mubai said, don't worry, Hall Master Lin. Although it's serious, we can still handle it. Moreover, we've already thought of ways to drive a wedge between them. Perhaps their attention will be diverted then. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded and said, after I leave, you can also release some information and I can also set up some illusions. Let them not cover the Langistar for the time being and search the universe to find me. They will probably fly around like headless flies. He didn't care about those big sects outside. He didn't plan to go head-to-head with them now. Therefore, there shouldn't be any danger this time. Elder Mubai took Lin Xian and left the Langistar through a world-level teleportation portal. They arrived at a nearby star world. Dream was with them. Buzz. The portal flickered and teleported them to another star world. This star world was relatively close to the Langistar and could be considered a subsidiary world. Lin Xian and Dream's figures appeared. This time, there were only the two of them. The North Demon, the Crimson Dragon, was still in seclusion and didn't follow. After the dizziness caused by the portal disappeared, Lin Xian looked around. Let's go. The two of them rose into the sky and flew toward the outer realm. Not long after they arrived in the outer realm, Lin Xian frowned. There were people searching nearby. Lin Xian even used his heavenly secret god eyes and saw that there were more people in the distance, which was the area near the Langistar. There were also many sages wandering around. It seemed that those people in the Dragon Valley and the 8 swaying mountains were unwilling to give up. However, he didn't expect the other party to search such a wide area. He had already used the world-level teleportation portal to teleport to another star world, but the other party had set up a defense line. Let's go. Lin Xian waved his hand and brought Dream along. The two of them prepared to leave quickly. However, at this moment, a cold shout came from afar. Stop! Countless laws flew and formed 7 lines of defense, blocking them. Then, a team rushed over from afar. Who are you? Who allowed you to wander around? Dreamy frowned and turned around. When Lin Xian turned around, he also changed his face. Although these people were saints, he was confident that they wouldn't be able to detect him. We are from this star world and are preparing to go out to search for some treasures, Lin Xian said indifferently. Looking for treasures? What treasures? Don't go. Recently, this star field has been completely sealed off by us. You can only enter but not leave, so you guys should just stay here obediently. Can't go out? Lin Xian frowned. At this moment, a burly man at the side laughed coldly. What was the point of talking to him? He was just an ant. Just kill him. Because Lin Xian and the others were hiding their auras, they didn't know how strong Lin Xian was. As far as they were concerned, such a young man was at most a half-saint. They had 2 sages on their side. Killing such an ant was as easy as blowing off dust. In front, the middle-aged man waved his hand. He stared at Lin Xian and Dreamy. Kid, you're going to die. How about this? I'll give you a chance to live. Get lost and leave your female companion behind, and I'll spare your life. Hee, little beauty, judging from your appearance, could it be that you're from the elf clan? Let me take good care of you later. The middle-aged man revealed a look of greed. The elf clan was known for their beauty in the universe. Moreover, the elf clan's bloodline was not bad. They were close to nature. If he could get a woman from the elf clan as his partner, it would be very beneficial for his cultivation. Therefore, even this saint was a little tempted. Behind him, the burly man also laughed. Was he from the elf clan? Then you can't have it all by yourself. I want a share of it too. He also walked over. The eyes of the 2 sages shone brightly. The laws around their bodies surrounded them. The warriors following them sneered. They felt sad for Lin Xian and Dreamy's fate. Lin Xian frowned, and a cold look appeared in his eyes. However, before he could say anything, Dreamy, who was beside him, was furious. Go to hell. The wings on her back drew a dreamy ray of light. It was like a heavenly blade that instantly cut the 2 of them in half. 2 heads flew up, and the sage's blood splattered. It directly pierced through the warriors behind them. Countless screams sounded, and at the same time, their eyes were filled with infinite fear. Who was this person? With a raise of her hand, she cut off the heads of 2 sages. Damn it, this is bad. The 2 sages also screamed crazily, and their heads flew back in an instant. They're not ordinary people. There's something wrong with them. Hurry up and catch him. The 2 of them roared angrily, but they were slapped into a bloody mist by Dreamy. Not only that, the translucent wings on Dreamy's back kept flapping, instantly forming a sacred domain. The bloody mist of the 2 sages and the warriors in the distance were all enveloped. In the next moment, countless screams sounded, and then the sacred domain disappeared. Everything turned into ashes. Temple Master, let's go. Dreamy turned around and said. Lin Xian nodded and rushed over in a flash. At the same time, he was shocked. This woman is a little violent, but that's good. It saves me the trouble of taking action. The 2 of them turned into 2 streams of light, instantly cut through the dark universe, and flew into the distance. When she realized that no one was chasing after them for the time being, Dreamy said, Temple Master, I was a little impulsive. I shouldn't have attacked like this. Lin Xian waved his hand. No, you did very well. Because even if you didn't attack, I was prepared to attack. Let's go. As he said that, he took out the spirit boat, and the two of them quickly streaked through the void. Behind them, more than 10 figures came out from the place where the battle had been. They were a few sages. They looked at the scene around them and frowned. Oh no, someone attacked. And a sage has fallen. Damn it, who is it? Is it someone from the Langyastar? Or someone else? I don't know, but it must be related to Lin Xian. Hurry up and investigate. They roared crazily. They quickly moved out and searched the 4 seas and 8 wastelands. Unfortunately, Lin Xian and Dreamy had already left. Next, Lin Xian and the others sat on the spirit boat, cultivating as they flew towards their destination. Although he didn't know the specific location on the star map, he could still identify the general direction. Therefore, he decided to fly to the star field first, and then ask about the specific world marked by the red circle. Which world was it? Just like that, a month passed. The cold void of the universe was emotionless and gloomy all year round. Only a few stars were shining brightly. Generally, those who traveled in the universe were strong, but they only cultivated in seclusion and flew on the spirit boat. After all, such a boring life would drive one crazy after a long time. On this day, there was a change. When Lin Xian and the others passed by a star world, Lin Xian suddenly opened his eyes, and then the spirit boat stopped. What's wrong? Temple Master? Dreamy also stood up. Chapter 3440. Lin Xian did not say anything. Instead, he pointed to the outside. Meng Huan's soul stretched out to control the array. She was instantly stunned. It turned out that there was an intense battle happening in the world closest to them. It seemed like the battle was about to reach the extraterritorial region. Meng Huan frowned. In the distance, the battle was extremely terrifying. The murderous aura shot up into the sky. The surrounding sea of blood was still surging. It made people feel like they were in hell. Large cracks appeared in the sky. Buzz. Right at this moment, a huge palm grabbed out from below. It covered the entire sky and covered the entire sky. A few martial artists who wanted to escape were caught in an instant. Blood gushed out of their wounds as they screamed in agony. Palace Master, should we help? Meng Huan asked doubtfully. This kind of thing was very common. Therefore, she did not understand why Lin Xian stayed here. Was he going to stand up for injustice? Lin Xian frowned. His eyes flashed with a golden light as he looked into the distance. Suddenly, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He stood up abruptly and rushed outside. Meng Huan was stunned when she saw this. She also rushed out. Outside, a few figures escaped from the large palm. One of them was covered in blood, and his face was extremely pale. At the same time, a cold voice was heard. Catch that Gusantong. You can't let him escape. The item is in his hands. This voice was filled with endless power of the laws and terrifying murderous intent. It shook the 9 heavens. Then, a flying sword with terrifying murderous intent flew towards the injured youth like a meteor. Not good, Santong. Run. Young master, I'll block it for you. The 2 elders beside him roared crazily. The injured youth roared, Damn it, let's go together. Boom. Just as he finished speaking, he was sent flying. The lightning on the flying sword was too terrifying. Then, a cold laugh was heard. You want to leave? Do you think you can? Another 3 flying swords flew towards the young man. Each of them was filled with lightning as they flew towards him. It seemed like they wanted to kill the youth on the spot. They did not hold back at all. No, young master, leave quickly. The surrounding experts roared madly, but there was nothing they could do. The 3 flying swords were getting closer and closer to the injured youth. As for the injured youth, he raised his head and roared. I can't accept this. He couldn't accept it. But so what if he was unwilling? This time, there was only one saint in their group, and the most powerful one was only a half-saint. But the other party, however, the other party had sent 3 sages. It was already a miracle that they were able to drag it out until now. Was he going to die? I'm the one who harmed you. I'm sorry. The young man gave up on resisting and let out a miserable smile. He was also a peak-level genius, but that was in the past. After coming to the ancient path of stars, he didn't seem so dazzling anymore. This time, for the sake of the opportunity, he gave it his all. But was he still going to fail? Thinking of this, he closed his eyes. The 3 flying swords were extremely fast and arrived in front of him in an instant. He was already able to sense the berserk power that was brought about by them, let alone 3. Just 1 strike was enough to destroy his soul. He had already prepared himself for death. However, in the next moment, he was stunned, because he felt that the 3 extremely terrifying forces of destruction had disappeared in an instant. What was going on? He suddenly opened his eyes. In the next moment, he was stunned. The reason for that was because he discovered a figure standing before him. The figure had his back facing him. He stretched out a large golden hand and directly grabbed the 3 flying swords. The 3 flying swords were like lightning dragons. They kept twisting and turning, trying to break free, but they couldn't do it at all. He was saved. The injured youth's face was full of shock. The surrounding warriors were also stunned. They instantly rushed over. "Thank you for saving him, Senior." They looked at the figure who made the move and were very excited. The other party had caught such a terrifying attack in an instant. He must be a powerful senior. The figure in front turned his head and glanced at the injured youth. "Brother Gu, long time no see." "What?" The surrounding people were all stunned. The injured youth's body also trembled, and his eyes widened. "You are? Brother Lin. It's actually you." He was too shocked, because he realized that he knew the person in front of him. Moreover, they were good friends before. However, back then, they were all top geniuses in that world. After they left and went to the ancient path of stars, he hadn't seen the other party. He didn't expect that the other party would appear here. "That's right, it's me." The person who came was Lin Xian. He looked at the injured youth. This injured youth was none other than a genius of the Gu family, Gu Santong. He was one of Lin Xian's friends in the true spirit world. Back then, Gu Santong should have walked the path of the family, so he didn't stay with Lin Xian. However, he didn't expect to see this scene today. In the surroundings, the Gu clan's martial artists were also stunned. It seemed that the other party was a friend of their young master. That was great. They were saved. However, Gu Santong's expression changed instantly. He said, "Brother Lin, leave quickly. There are 3 saints in front. We can't fight them head-on. Leave quickly." "Yes, let's leave first." The surrounding people also said, "You want to leave? Do you think you can?" Below, cold laughter sounded, followed by countless figures rushing over. At the front were the 3 saints. These 3 saints stood in 3 different directions and sealed off the space, trapping Lin Xian, Gu Santong, and the others. To think that there would be more helpers. But so what? They were just 2 young juniors, existences that were akin to ants. They could kill them easily. "Brother Gu, what's going on? Why are you being hunted?" Lin Xian was also shocked. That shouldn't be. Gu Santong was a genius of the Gu family, and the Gu family was a family that had produced a great emperor. They were definitely from the emperor family. How could such a family be hunted down? Could it be that an accident had happened? Gu Santong sighed, and his expression became incomparably desolate. This matter was hard to explain in a few words. Moreover, this wasn't the time to talk about this. Gu Santong looked around, and his expression was ugly. "Brother Lin, I'm afraid I've implicated you this time." "No worries." Lin Xian shook his head. Then, he took out some spiritual wine and spiritual medicine from his storage ring, as well as some treasures, and fed them to Gu Santong. "Recover first." Then, he turned to look at Ming Ming. "Ming Ming, do what you want to do next."
"Yes."
Ming Ming nodded and walked out. Gu Santong was stunned. The warriors around him were also stunned. What was going on? Shouldn't the most important thing now be to find a way to escape? Why didn't the person in front of them do it? Instead, he sent a beautiful girl? Could it be that he thought that a thin and weak girl would be able to handle this situation? What a joke. There were 3 saints on the other side. Chapter 34:41. Sure enough, the 3 sages on the other side also sneered. "She really doesn't know what's good for her." Looks like she's an idiot. She doesn't know who we are. Well, let's kill her in one move. One of the sages raised his hand and sneered at Dreamy. She's not bad looking, but she's an idiot. So, there's no need for her to live. His finger carried an endless amount of laws as it pointed forward. That was the attack of a sage. Under that attack, no one below the level of a sage would be able to survive. Therefore, the people on the other side all sneered. They wanted to see what kind of tragic scene it would be when such a beautiful woman was killed. The people of the Gu family all had their hearts in their throats. Many of them closed their eyes. They felt hopeless. Gu Santong was so anxious that his face was red. He wanted to say something, but Lin Xian waved his hand. He was very calm. In front of him, Dreamy was even more calm. Looking at the finger, she smiled disdainfully. In the next moment, she raised her hand and slashed forward with her fingers like a knife. The force slashed down and tore the sky apart. A terrifying energy instantly spread over. The finger's law of the sage was torn to pieces. Otherwise, that saint would have been sliced into two by a single slash. A miserable scream was heard. It made one's scalp tingle. The scene became extremely strange. The people on the other side were all stunned. Heavens, what's going on? One of their sages was cut in half. Although it was only a first heaven sage, it was an existence that surpassed the heavens and earth. Everyone below the level of a sage was an ant. How could this woman in front of them be so powerful? Could it be that she was also a sage? At that moment, they were all confused. The people of the Gu family also opened their mouths wide. Their eyeballs almost fell out. Originally, they thought that such a beautiful woman would definitely disappear into thin air, so they all closed their eyes. However, when they opened their eyes and saw that scene, they were also dumbfounded. What a powerful technique. This woman must be a sage. They had all misjudged her. Damn it, who are you people? At that moment, another sage spoke. If the other party was a sage, then she must be from a big family or a big sect. They had to get to the bottom of this. Firstly, they had to avoid kicking an iron plate. Secondly, they might be implicated. You don't deserve to know, Dreamy said coldly. She could tell that the people being chased were Lin Xian's friends. If they hadn't come, these people would have been killed. Since that was the case, she would definitely not go easy on him. You're courting death. Little doll, you're too arrogant. Attack together. The three saints shouted coldly. They didn't want any undue delay. As far as they were concerned, Lin Xian was nothing to be afraid of. He should be the young master of a large family. This little girl should be a Dao protector. That was probably why his strength was so terrifying. As long as he took down this woman, the rest of the people would be nothing more than ants. Kill. The first to make a move was the injured saint. His expression was ice cold, and the laws revolved around him, forming a large furnace. It caused the entire sky to burn, and a massive furnace containing boundless flames descended from the sky, destroying Meng Chuan. The other person opened his mouth and spat out countless sound waves. The sound waves transformed into blades of laws that slashed down. The last person slapped out with his palm. The stars, sun, and moon revolved around it, and it was extremely mysterious. The three saints had used their ultimate techniques to kill Meng Chuan instantly. Not good. Seeing this scene, Gu Santong and the others became nervous again. Although they now knew that Meng Chuan was also a saint and was very powerful, this was not a one-on-one battle. The other party had three saints attacking together. No matter how powerful Meng Chuan was, she wouldn't be able to block them. The only one who was calm was Lin Xian. Lin Xian knew that Meng Chuan was sent to protect him, which meant that she must be very powerful. The three saints of the first heaven couldn't do anything to her. Meng Chuan didn't say anything. The translucent wings on her back flickered with mysterious power, and the laws revolved around them. She gently danced, and two blades of light slashed forward. The two blades of light were extremely terrifying with destruction and killing intent. As soon as they appeared, everyone felt that their souls were about to be split open. Between heaven and earth, two rays of light lit up. Then, everyone couldn't see anything. When they regained their vision, they found that the three sages had been killed. Their bodies and souls were destroyed, and they couldn't be more dead. What? They were all dead? Gu Santong and the others' eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Those were 3 sages. How terrifying. But now, the 3 saints were lying there like dead dogs, without any signs of life. Who was that woman in front of them? The people of the Gu family were shocked. Could it be that she was really the protector of the young man next to them? The remaining powerhouses on the other side were all stunned. The half-sages started to tremble. Dead. The 3 saints of the first heaven had died in an instant. Run away quickly. In the next moment, they ran away like crazy. The woman in front of them was too terrifying. There was no way to stop her. How could Meng Chuan let these people escape? She shouted and activated her sacred domain, covering heaven and earth. Countless blades of light flashed. Each of them brought about countless flowers of blood. In almost the blink of an eye, everyone was killed. In the sky, only the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood were still surging. Meng Chuan withdrew her sacred domain. Her body was spotless, and not even a drop of blood was stained. The people of the Gu family looked at this scene in amazement. At the same time, they were incomparably envious. If their young master Santong had such a Tao protector expert by his side, that would be great. But in the next moment, their eyes widened again. They could not believe what they had just seen. In front of them, the super beautiful woman came to Lin Xian's side and said respectfully, "Temple Master, are you satisfied with what I've done?" Not bad." Lin Xian nodded. Then, Meng Chuan stood respectfully behind Lin Xian. This scene stunned the people of the Gu family. What was going on? Could it be that she was not a protector? To be honest, they could not believe it either. This was because most protectors had a very arrogant attitude. They would not intervene unless it was a matter of life and death. But this woman in front of them was so respectful to this young man. This was not the style of a protector at all. Instead, she looked like a follower. Who was this person? What was the background of this young man? They all looked at Gu Santong. Gu Santong was still in shock at this moment, but after being pushed by his elder, he immediately came back to his senses. Chapter 34-42. He took a deep breath and was just about to say something. Lin Xian said, "Brother Gu, let's not talk about it. Let's leave this place first." "All right." Gu Santong nodded. Next, they followed Lin Xian into the spirit ship. Then, it quickly flew across the universe and disappeared into the darkness. After entering the spirit ship and completely leaving, Gu Santong and the elders of the Gu family finally heaved a sigh of relief. They began to swallow elixirs to recover from their injuries. However, most of them were stunned by Lin Xian. Among them, a few elders said, "Mr. Santong, you haven't introduced this mister yet?" "Yes, he's the benefactor of our Gu family." "You don't have to say that. Brother Gu and I are good friends, and we both came from the same star realm. Naturally, we'll help each other out. He's good friends with Mr. Santong, and we both came from the quintessential world." The elders of the Gu family were all stunned. Gu Santong swallowed 2 elixirs and nodded. "That's right. Don't you recognize him? Brother Lin was the Central Emperor back then." "Central Emperor?" "Lin Xian. It's him." The surrounding elders of the Gu family were stunned at first, then sucked in a breath of cold air. How could they not know? He was one of the top 5 peerless geniuses of the quintessential world: Eastern Sage, Southern Emperor, Northern Demon, Western Buddha, and Central Emperor. The Central Baron among them was Lin Xian. They did not expect to meet an old friend here and be saved by him. Lin Xian frowned and asked, "Brother Gu, what happened? Did something happen to the Gu family? Why are you being hunted down?" To be honest, he was very confused. A genius of the Emperor family being hunted down was really too unbelievable. Hearing this, Gu Santong laughed bitterly. "It's not that something happened to the family, it's me." What happened to you?" "When I was in the quintessential world, I was considered a top genius. After leaving the ancient path of stars, my talent was not the best. More importantly, before leaving the ancient path of stars, I challenged the divine body of the Gu family. In the end, he was injured by him. Moreover, because of my challenge, the godly body was extremely angry and started to suppress me. This caused me to gradually break away from the core circle of the Gu clan. Later, After leaving the ancient starry sky path, the support I received from my family gradually decreased. Some time ago, I happened to get some news about the void demonic beasts, so I decided to take a gamble and brought some people to explore. In the end, I really did find a void beast skin. However, I was chased by other experts and thought that I was dead for sure. I didn't expect you to come and save me at the last moment. Gu Santong's explanation was concise, but Lin Xian already understood. It seemed that Gu Santong had offended someone, and the person he had offended was the godly physique of his own family. The Gu clan was an imperial clan, and the godhood of the Gu clan was similar to Leaf Daodinier's status in the Yi clan. Therefore, Gu Santong's fate for offending such a person would be disastrous. Fortunately, Gu Santong was already qualified to leave the ancient path of the stars. Otherwise, it would be even worse. Not only that, the godly physique secretly tried to kill us, but we were lucky and escaped. The elders beside them could not bear to watch any longer. It was obvious that things were not as simple as they seemed. Lin Xian only had to think about it to know that such a battle between big clans would be extremely dangerous. Gu Santong was lucky to be able to survive until now. What are your plans now? Lin Xian asked. Gu Santong sighed. What plans could he have? As long as the godly physique was in the Gu clan, he had no chance and no right to return. Moreover, he wanted to say something, but suddenly sighed and shook his head. Forget it, let's not talk about it. Right, Brother Lin? Why are you here? Gu Santong asked. Lin Xian said that he had recently obtained a treasure map, so he was prepared to come and explore it. He took out the map and pointed to the star circled in red. It should be nearby, but I can't be sure. This is the Great Yin planet. Gu Santong exclaimed. When Lin Xian heard this, he was also stunned. Then, he asked, You know this star world? Gu Santong nodded. That's right. This is the Great Yin planet. Because I'm in this star world, you're there. Lin Xian was surprised, but soon smiled. It seems that I'm really lucky. Then, I'll disturb you for a few days. Brother Lin, why are you being so courteous with me? You're my savior. I originally wanted to invite you to my place and treat you well. Since he already knew that this was the star world, Lin Xian did not hesitate. He immediately changed directions and flew towards the Great Yin planet. Soon, they arrived at the Great Yin planet. The Great Yin planet was also a famous star world. There were many powerhouses and many sages there. It could be said that martial arts were very developed. Gu Santong had a certain amount of power on the Great Yin planet, so he quickly arrived at a spirit vein. In the next few days, Gu Santong really treated Lin Xian well. The two of them seemed to have endless things to talk about. Furthermore, they had also discussed some matters regarding the martial Tao. Gu Santong was only a half-sage, while Lin Xian was already a sage. After a few conversations, Gu Santong benefited a lot, which made him very happy. Next, Gu Santong tried to go into seclusion, while Lin Xian and Lin Xian prepared to walk around the Great Yin planet. This was because the beast's skin only showed the star world. As for what was in this world, he did not know. However, Lin Xian did not care too much. Treasure hunting was all about excitement. Although he did not know what the final treasure was, he did not know. However, to be able to come here and meet Gu Santong was already a huge stroke of luck for him. Even if he could not find the treasure, Lin Xian felt that it was worth it. After all, in the true spirit world, he did not have many friends. Besides Gu Santong, there was also Wu Hua and Yi Wu Dao, who he had a good relationship with. However, these old friends were scattered all over the universe. It was not easy to meet them. Moreover, Lin Xian felt that if this map allowed him to meet Gu Santong, he might be able to find some other opportunities. Lin Xian brought Lin Xian and wandered around the Great Yin planet. After nearly a month, he understood the local customs and customs of the Great Yin planet. He also had a new understanding of the heavenly Tao. Unknowingly, his strength had also increased steadily. After more than a month, Lin Xian once again returned to Gu Santong's place. After he returned, he found that the atmosphere was a little strange. It seemed to be a little heavy. What was going on? Lin Xian frowned. Could it be that something had happened again? At this time, an elder walked over and respectfully said, So Lin Gongzi has returned. Seventh Elder, what's going on? Why does the atmosphere feel a little strange? Chapter 3443. These days, Lin Xian had gotten to know them better. These were the most loyal clan members of Gu Santong's side. Therefore, Lin Xian did not treat them as strangers. The seventh elder said in a low voice. Young Master Lin had sharp eyes. Today was indeed different because there were guests. Guests? Lin Xian was stunned. Were they here to look for Santong? That's right. They were here to look for the young master. You don't look too happy. Could it be that you're hiding something from me? Seventh elder sighed and did not say anything. Instead, he led Lin Xian and Lin Ming to a courtyard. The scenery was beautiful, but there were not many people. Lin Xian understood seventh elder's intentions when he arrived. There was no one in this courtyard, but there was someone in the courtyard opposite. From here, Lin Xian could clearly see everything that was happening in the courtyard opposite. At this moment, he saw Gu Santong sitting there with a gloomy expression. Gu Santong's aura was stronger than it had been a month ago. It was obvious that the martial arts exchange had been of great help to Gu Santong. This should have been something to be happy about, but Gu Santong did not look happy at all. Instead, there was an extremely solemn expression on his face. This made Lin Xian realize that things were not so simple. Who was it? Who could give Gu Santong such pressure? Not far from Gu Santong sat a middle-aged man. That middle-aged man was tall and slender, with a hooked nose and a cold expression on his face. They seemed to be discussing something. Lin Xian's soul was very strong, so he could instantly hear what they were talking about. However, it seemed that the conversation between the two was about to end, so Lin Xian only heard a few sentences. Young Master Gu, this is not something you can resist. Therefore, I advise you not to resist. Gu Santong sat there, not saying a word. At this moment, the middle-aged man spoke again. I have conveyed your message. I hope that young Master Gu will not be late. At this point, he stood up and strode away. It seemed that he did not care about Gu Santong at all. Lin Xian watched the entire process. However, that middle-aged man did not notice at all that someone was inspecting him. After the middle-aged man left, Gu Santong exuded a terrifying aura, and the air around him started to fluctuate rapidly. It was clear that he was furious. When Lin Xian saw this scene, he took a deep breath and said to Fantasy, Fantasy, you go back first. I'll go talk to him myself. As he spoke, he walked toward the courtyard. Brother Lin, you're back. Gu Santong's original aura was very frightening. His entire body seemed to have merged into the void, becoming even more frightening. He was originally a genius disciple of the Gu clan and cultivated the Great Void technique created by the Void Emperor. This was a spatial technique. It was extremely terrifying. When he sensed the figure in front of him, he immediately walked out of the void, and the power of the void around him quickly disappeared. Who was that person just now? Was there any conflict between you two? Lin Xian asked. Gu Santong was stunned. You heard everything? Lin Xian said, I heard a little, but I don't know the details. If you trust me, you can tell me. I might have a way to help you. Gu Santong laughed bitterly. Brother Lin, how can I not trust you? You saved my life. However, this matter was too difficult to talk about. Forget it. You'll know soon enough. I'll tell you. Next, Gu Santong gave a simple explanation. Lin Xian understood everything after hearing it, and then frowned. It turned out that Gu Santong had come to the Great Yin planet from the ancient Star Road. In order to quickly gain a foothold on the Great Yin planet, their bloodline decided to form a marriage alliance with a very powerful clan. Gu Santong did not agree at first. However, because of him, the divine body not only suppressed him, but also their bloodline. Therefore, at this time, Gu Santong also decided to sacrifice himself to repay their bloodline. Therefore, he agreed. The Gu family was not engaged to an ordinary clan, but to the Shadowless clan. The Shadowless clan was one of the 10,000 ancient clans. Moreover, they were a royal clan and were very powerful. On the Great Yin planet, there was a branch of the Shadowless clan. Logically speaking, the Shadowless clan was a royal clan while the Gu family was an emperor clan. However, the Shadowless clan had flourished on the Great Yin planet for thousands of years and was very powerful. As for Gu Santong's bloodline, they were not very powerful. In addition, they had just arrived. Therefore, the marriage alliance between the two could be considered a match. At that time, the Gu family still needed the help of the Shadowless clan. At first, Gu Santong did not think much of it. However, by chance, he found out about the Shadowless clan's secret and conspiracy. He was immediately unhappy. He wanted to break off the marriage alliance, but how could his family agree? His bloodline had finally settled down here. If they offended the Shadowless clan, they would definitely be forced to leave the Great Yin planet. It would be even more difficult to go to other worlds in the future. They might even be killed by the Gu family's divine body. Oh, what secret? Lin Xin asked. For Gu Santong to be so angry, it was definitely not a small matter. Gu Santong gritted his teeth. That damned woman and the Shadowless clan were not trying to help our Gu family. They were trying to steal our Gu family's inheritance. As you know, we are emperor clans. What we cultivate is naturally the emperor's techniques. How exquisite that was. That woman from the Shadowless clan and her entire family were trying to steal the ancient void scripture. There was actually such a thing? Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. The ancient void scripture was an inheritance created by the emperor. It was definitely something that countless people would be jealous of. Although Gu Santong and his bloodline had declined, they were unable to learn the core of the inheritance. However, what they cultivated was related to the emperor's techniques. It was definitely not weak. The Shadowless clan had taken a fancy to this, which was why they had arranged the marriage alliance. The Shadowless clan was also a very mysterious clan. They had no form and were very similar to the Void. This was why they wanted to steal the Gu family's inheritance. Didn't you tell your bloodline about this? Lin Xin asked. Not yet. My family still doesn't know. Because if this secret was leaked, the Shadowless clan would not be so gentle. They would definitely use extremely fierce methods. Perhaps they might even catch us all in one fell swoop. Then, what do you plan to do? I don't know. But even if I die, I will not leak our Gu family's ancient void scripture. Not to mention the ancient void scripture, even any of our country's techniques would not be leaked to the other party. Then, what was the agreement between you two? Lin Xian asked again. Chapter 3444. Gu Santong said, It's that woman, the woman who wants to marry me. She probably can't wait any longer and is rushing me to complete the marriage. Oh, someone from the Shadowless clan? That's good. I want to see who is so bold as to covet the Void Emperor's secret technique inheritance. A cold glint appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. To be honest, he was furious. Gu Santong was his friend, and he could not accept the fact that the other party dared to scheme against his friend. Moreover, he came from the true spirit world, and the Void Emperor was the emperor of the true spirit world. Lin Xian was naturally displeased that the other worlds were trying to take advantage of their world. Therefore, he wanted to see what the Shadowless clan was capable of to be so arrogant. Brother Lin, what do you mean? Gu Santong looked at Lin Xian in surprise. Lin Xian smiled. Didn't he want to see you? Let's meet then. Don't worry, with me here, I won't let the Gu clan's inheritance leak out. Good. Gu Santong was also excited, and hope returned to his eyes. He knew that Lin Xian was very strong now, and he seemed to have a powerful force behind him. If Lin Xian could help, it would be best. He said, Hero, I know we are friends, but if we fight, the implications will be too great. However, if you can really help me get out of this marriage, I can give you a scroll of our Gu clan's ancient scripture as a reward. Hearing this, Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. That was the ancient scripture of the Emperor clan. However, he quickly said, Isn't the Gu clan's inheritance not allowed to be leaked? You're violating the clan rules. Gu Santong said, Don't worry, I won't violate the clan rules. The core of our Gu clan is the Void ancient scripture created by the Void Emperor. I've only touched the surface, and I'm not even qualified to touch the core. Therefore, I can't leak it. Of course, other than the Void Emperor, our Gu clan also gave birth to countless saints. They also created countless secret techniques and mystiques based on the Void ancient scripture. Of course, These were also very precious divine abilities and secret techniques. Normally, the Gu family would not leak this information to outsiders. However, there were exceptions. For example, if the Gu clan is indebted to someone, we will give them a divine ability as a form of gratitude. This had happened 3 times in the history of the family. Therefore, I'm not breaking the family's rules by giving you an ancient scripture divine ability. So that was the case. Lin Xian understood. Although it was not the void scripture, it was the most crucial secret technique. However, it was also a divine ability created by a saint expert of the Gu clan. Its power was also extremely terrifying. Moreover, what the Gu family gave him must have something to do with spatial magic. Space mystiques were extremely powerful mystiques, so how could Lin Xian not be excited? One had to know that the Shadowless clan was aiming for these secret arts. Lin Xian rejoiced inwardly. This kind of ancient scripture was not passed down to outsiders. In history, the Gu family had only passed it down to their benefactors 3 times. Perhaps this would be the 4th time for Lin Xian. This was an extremely rare opportunity, so Lin Xian said, "Don't worry with me here. I won't let the Shadowless clan succeed." The Celestial Lincian Pavilion was a very famous holy land on the Great Yin planet. The Celestial Lincian Pavilion was a building built by intersecting 3 top-grade spirit veins. The spiritual energy was very rich. There were even heaven and earth anomalies. It could be said that it was a place that all powerhouses on the Great Yin planet dreamed of. However, those who were able to come here were all extraordinary. Other than the peerless experts, only the top clans and sects were able to come here. Outside the Celestial Lincian Pavilion stood 2 young figures. They were Lin Xian and Gu Sanong. The 2 of them discussed for a while and decided to go. Wang. The person stopped. A cold voice came from inside the Celestial Lincian Pavilion. The surrounding sword chi formed illusions of an azure dragon and a white tiger. These were all extremely terrifying techniques and arrays. If there were any strange movements, they would instantly kill the person. Even a saint would not dare to act wildly here. Lin Xian and Yi Zichen stopped. An old man's face appeared from within, looking down at the 2 of them condescendingly. This was the Celestial Lincian Pavilion. Not just anyone could enter. Do you 2 have an identity jade token? Ordinary people could not come to such a place. Even some saints could not come. Unless you had a reputation that resounded throughout the entire star realm, or you were recommended by a top family and had an identity jade token, you could enter. I'm here to see Hua Feiyu of the Shadowless clan. As he spoke, Gu Santong took out a token. It was the token that the middle-aged man had given him. The old face in front carefully stared at the token and then nodded. "Gentlemen, please." As he spoke, the array in front of them split open. Countless rays of light flashed, forming a colorful passage. The 2 of them strode in. After entering, even Lin Xian exclaimed. He had to admit that the layout of the Celestial Lincian Pavilion was exquisite. The array around it was of the world level. Even a saint would not dare to act wildly here. More importantly, there were 3 supreme-grade spiritual veins gathered together. The pure energy they emitted shocked him greatly. They really knew how to enjoy life. He did not expect the Great Yin planet to have such a supreme-grade place. If he could cultivate here all year round, the efficiency would be frighteningly high. In addition, the guards and deacons inside were all half-sages. There were even saints. The standard was so high that it was shocking. After Lin Xian entered, he was led in by a half-sage deacon. After walking for about half an hour, they came to the front. In front of them was a very majestic palace. The buildings were engraved with Tao patterns. They were densely packed with the mysterious power of heaven and earth. This was the work of a saint. At this moment, there was a jade platform in front of the palace. Similarly, it was formed with patterns of Tao patterns. On one side of the jade platform sat a woman in a pink dress. She sat there, her hair hanging down to her waist. At this moment, she stretched out her slender hands and was cutting flowers. She was not cutting ordinary flowers, but spirit flowers around 7,000 years old. Lin Xian recognized them at a glance. They were called peace bloom. They had a strong effect on the growth of one's soul. Smelling the fragrance of these flowers could unknowingly increase one's soul power. It was very precious. On the vase engraved with Tao patterns, there were several bouquets of peace bloom. They were all around 7,000 years old. At this moment, the woman in pink was holding a palm-sized dragon scissors and carefully cutting the flowers. She looked very leisurely. However, Lin Xian could tell that she was cultivating. Every movement seemed casual, but it carried the Tao of heaven and earth. Chapter 34:45. She was cultivating, which meant that she was a saint. She was comprehending the laws of heaven and earth. This woman should be Gu Santong's fiancée, the little princess of the Shadowless clan, Hua Feiyu. After Lin Xian and Gu Santong arrived, the deacon who had led them left. In the hall, other than the two of them, there was only Hua Feiyu, who was still cutting flowers. A middle-aged man stood in the distance. It was the man who had met Gu Santong before. At this moment, he had a long sword hanging from his waist. His aura was faint, but it was obvious that he was constantly watching the situation inside. If there was any movement, he would intervene. Gu Santong frowned slightly. He was already here, but the other party did not seem to have any intention of paying attention to him. This made him a little angry. He was about to open his mouth to say something, but Lin Xian gently pulled him back, stopping him. At the same time, Lin Xian transmitted a message to him, telling him not to rush. Let's see what she is up to. After Gu Santong heard the message, he calmed down. With Lin Xian by his side, he was not as uneasy as before. The two of them waited like this for 7 days and 7 nights. During this time, no one moved. Only Hua Feiyu, who was in front, continued to cut flowers. Finally, on the 8th day, when the sun rose, Hua Feiyu let go of the dragon sword in her hand. She raised her head, a strange light in her eyes. Santong, you're here. This time, you're not the same as before. I didn't expect you to be able to wait for so long. Gu Santong snorted coldly and did not say anything. However, he was very unhappy. He had been here for a long time and had waited for 7 days and 7 nights. This damned woman, she was obviously trying to show him who was the boss. Hua Feiyu was very calm. She glanced at Gu Santong, then back at the peace bloom in front of her. From the beginning to the end, she had not looked at Lin Xian. In her opinion, he was not even worth mentioning. She didn't even care much about Gu Santong. If it weren't for his identity and the fact that he had inherited the martial technique, she probably wouldn't even spare him a glance. There is still a month before our wedding. You should go back and prepare for it. My Shadowless clan is a peak family of the Grand Spill planet. Your Gu clan must not disgrace our Shadowless clan. Wedding? Gu Santong sneered. Hua Feiyu, you think too highly of yourself. Don't think that I don't know what your family is planning. Today, I can tell you clearly that I will not marry you. After he finished speaking, the middle-aged man in the distance was stunned, and then his face instantly sank. As for Hua Feiyu, she also stopped what she was doing. She once again raised her hand as her voice became ice-cold. I can take that as a joke, and I didn't hear it. Now, go back and prepare for the wedding. Are you deaf? I said, I will not marry you. Gu Santong roared again. His voice was like a clap of thunder. No, give me a reason. I won't let your Shadowless clan scheme succeed. You're too young and hot-headed. You're too reckless. What do you think my Shadowless clan is? You think you can refuse just because you want to? I won't marry you today. What can you do about it? Gu Santong steeled his heart. Hua Feiyu was not angry. Instead, she waved her hand and said to the middle-aged man without looking back. She let him out. When the middle-aged man heard this, he sneered and took out a pagoda. Then, he formed a seal with his palms, and the pagoda continued to grow. Inside the pagoda, there was a figure floating up and down, suspended in mid-air by the chains of law. It was a youth with delicate features who was suspended in the air. His face was full of fear. Damn it! Gu Santong stood up immediately. You dare kidnap my brother? He was instantly enraged. That's right. This child was Gu Santong's brother. He had followed Gu Santong and his family to the Grand Spill planet. But he didn't expect that they would kidnap his brother and treat him like this. Gu Santong was instantly enraged. He emitted an extremely terrifying aura, as if he was about to attack. The middle-aged man in the distance sneered when he saw this scene. He took a step forward, and an extremely terrifying law surged out. This caused Gu Santong's expression to change. A mere half-sage did not have the right to be arrogant in front of him. That middle-aged man was a sage. Damn it, Hua Feiyu. What is the meaning of this? Gu Santong glared at the woman in front of him. The black-clothed woman said indifferently, "Very simple. Go back obediently and stay in your family. We'll hold the wedding in a month. If everything goes well, I'll let your brother go. If you and your family do anything unusual, I can guarantee that your younger brother will be destroyed in both body and soul." How dare you? Gu Santong roared like a madman. Hua Feiyu's expression was indifferent. There's nothing to be afraid of. I'll only say this once. If you don't want your brother's life, you're free to do it. This time, Gu Santong didn't say anything else. He immediately made his move. He instantly used the secret space technique to arrive at the bottom of the tower. His speed was extremely fast. It was as if he had opened a space portal. Once he appeared, he was in front of his brother. The great void handprint grabbed at the law chain, wanting to shatter it. Boom! The sound of an intense collision rang out as an extremely terrifying force swept out in all directions. Suddenly, the power of the law exploded. Gu Santong was sent flying. His blood boiled as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Throughout the entire process, the middle-aged man and Hua Feiyu did not move. Seeing this, Hua Feiyu chuckled. I have to say, you're really a piece of trash. If it weren't for your status, do you think I'd marry a piece of trash like you? All right, I'll forgive you this time. Go back obediently. Damn it. You really deserve to die. Gu Santong was so angry that his eyes turned red and his body trembled. He hated himself for being so weak. If he was a saint, then he would have been able to save her brother just now. But now, not only did he not succeed in saving her brother, he was injured by that force. He was a joke to others. Go back? Why should I go back? At this moment, a voice rang out. At the same time, a hand was placed on Gu Santong's shoulder. Gu Santong was stunned. He felt a warm force coming from his body. He turned to look at Lin Xian. A glimmer of hope returned to his eyes. In front of him, Hua Feiyu also frowned. She looked at Lin Xian. I'm talking to your master. Is there a place for a servant like you to speak? Open your mouth. Hua Feiyu was very angry. To be honest, she didn't even like Gu Santong, let alone the person Gu Santong brought. In her opinion, the person Gu Santong brought could not be much of a person. At most, he was a servant of the Gu family. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, she did not feel any powerful aura from him. Now, even Gu Santong did not dare to refute her. A servant dared to refute her will. This was an act of suicide. Chapter 3446. Wang. Hearing Hua Feiyu's words, the middle-aged man waved his hand. In the sky, countless laws formed a hand of laws and slapped towards Lin Xian. This was the power of the laws of heaven and earth. It was extremely terrifying. Not to mention a slap, this attack could turn someone into a bloody mist. Feeling the power of this palm, Gu Santong's face changed instantly. It was too terrifying. He could not even breathe. Oh no, brother Lin, dodge. He wanted to explain Lin Xian's identity, but it was too late. At the same time, he was extremely worried. Although he knew that Lin Xian was very powerful, he had never seen Lin Xian's true strength. The last time they met, it was the woman beside Lin Xian who attacked. This time, they did not bring the woman with them. Therefore, he was not sure if Lin Xian could withstand the attack of a saint. In fact, he subconsciously felt that he could not withstand it. That was why she shouted so loudly. Humph, what an idiot. Seeing this, Hua Feiyu shook her head and laughed coldly. Even Gu Santong could not withstand this attack, let alone a servant of the Gu family. The middle-aged saint who attacked also smiled coldly. Fine, let's kill this ant. Let's see if Gu Santong still dares to behave atrociously in front of us in the future. The only one who was calm was Lin Xian. He looked at the sword of laws descending from the sky with a calm expression. In the next moment, he stretched out his hand and grabbed upwards. Previously, Lin Xian did not make a move. This was because he felt that the time was not right. But later, the other party not only threatened Gu Santong, but also captured Gu Santong's younger brother. They even wanted to kill him. At this moment, Lin Xin moved. Boom! On Lin Xin's palm, balls of golden Dao patterns appeared. Like burning golden flames, they reached out to grab the space in front of them. This power caused Gu Santong to be stunned once again. He kept retreating, because the power of this palm was too terrifying. The entire void instantly sank. This scene was very strange. It was as if the entire space had stopped. Only the two palms were moving continuously. Boom! When the two palms collided, there was the sound of thousands of thunderbolts descending. Countless large cracks spread between heaven and earth as the terrifying energy formed one black hole after another. What was even more frightening was that the palm of law in the sky had been smashed into pieces. Not only that, but the middle-aged saint who had attacked also retreated continuously. His palm was bleeding, and his entire arm was trembling non-stop. Then, it exploded and turned into a bloody mist. In fact, when Gu Santong had made his move, the guards of the celestial Lincian pavilion had already gathered here. However, they saw that it was Hua Feiyu from the Shadowless clan. He did not make a move, nor did he move too far away. Later on, when they saw Lin Xin make a move, they also looked at him with disdain. However, the scene before them had truly stunned them. A saint was instantly injured. Furthermore, he had been lightly struck by the other party's palm. This was too inconceivable. Gu Santong's eyes widened in disbelief. He knew that Lin Xin was very powerful, but he did not expect Lin Xin to be so powerful. The fact that a saint's attack had been so easily broken meant that Lin Xin was at least a saint, or at least had the combat strength of a saint. There was another person who was shocked. That person was Hua Feiyu. At this moment, the flood dragon scissors in her hand fell onto the white jade bracelet again, making a clanging sound. However, she did not notice it at all. Her beautiful eyes were wide open. How could this be? Shadowless upper spirit was injured. This was too unbelievable. One had to know that the middle-aged man she had brought along was a first heaven sage, and a middle-stage first heaven sage. His strength was extremely terrifying. In her opinion, no one from Gu Santong's faction could withstand this attack. However, a young man beside Gu Santong had managed to withstand it. Not only did he withstand it, but he had also injured Shadowless upper spirit. This scene was like a dream, and she felt that it was unreal. Lin Xin retracted his hand, and a smile appeared on his face as he walked forward. In a few steps, he arrived in front of the white jade platform. Then, he picked up a peace bloom flower and sniffed it. Then, he said calmly, "How dare you be so arrogant in front of me with such strength? Seems like you're tired of living." Since Brother Gu said that he does not want to get married, no one can force him. Lin Xian's voice was not loud, but it was unquestionable. "Who are you?" Hua Feiyu finally regained her senses. She looked at the young man who was very close to her and was extremely shocked. Until now, she had not figured out his strength. It was too strange. He was unfathomable. "You don't deserve to know who I am. All you need to know is that from now on, this brother of mine will no longer be threatened by your family. Moreover, no one can threaten him." "Damn kid, you're courting death." The middle-aged man, Shadowless upper spirit, roared crazily behind him. He was actually injured by a brat. This was something he could not accept. Moreover, Lin Xin was being so arrogant. No one can threaten the Shadowless tribe. In the next moment, he roared and threw his palm at Lin Xin again. This time around, his palm became extremely strange. There were simply no traces of it at all. Thus, no one knew where it would appear from. This was the specialty of the Shadowless tribe. It was similar to the void technique. However, Lin Xin did not care. A golden light appeared in his eyes. Then, with a slight tap of his foot, his body moved away in an instant. At the place where he had been standing, a terrifying giant palm appeared and tore the void apart. What? He dodged it? That's impossible. Shadowless upper spirit screamed. How could Lin Xin have dodged his Shadowless palm? The Shadowless palm could disappear without a trace. Did Lin Xin notice it in advance? He could not believe it. Hua Feiyu was also stunned. She said coldly, I don't know who you are, nor do I know your relationship with Gu Santong. But let me tell you, the Shadowless tribe is not to be trifled with. The Shadowless tribe is the royal tribe of the 10,000 Archean tribes. Even in the Great Yin planet, we are one of the top tribes. Are you sure you want to start a war with the Shadowless tribe? Not to mention the entire tribe, just the top prodigy of the Shadowless pillar is not someone you can fight against. Hua Feiyu's eyes were full of arrogance. Lin Xian smiled. Oh, who is the prodigy of the Shadowless tribe? I've never heard of him. Then I can only say that you're ignorant. Hua Feiyu snorted. His eyes were full of arrogance. The top prodigy of the Shadowless tribe is called Shadowless Chun. Chapter 3447. Even on the starry sky ancient road, he was a famous elite prodigy, and he had just broken through recently. There were not many people in the younger generation who were his match. So, he was so powerful, as if he was invincible. But why have I never heard of him on the starry sky ancient road? Lin Xian had never heard of the name Wu Yingchun. What do you know? Wu Yingchun was now a saint, and a very young one at that. In the Heaven Punisher, there were less than 5 people in the younger generation who could defeat him. What was there to be arrogant about? There were still people who could defeat him. Gu Santong sneered when he heard this. Hua Feiyu showed a trace of disdain. Gu Santong, you are an idiot. You don't know what this means. Let me tell you, who can be compared to the prodigies of the Shadowless tribe? The first is the successor of the great emperor, Yin Nantian. I think you are familiar with this name because I have investigated. Yin Nantian and you are from the same starry sky ancient road. You are only a half-saint, but Yin Nantian is different. Although he is a half-saint, rumor has it that Yin Nantian has killed more than one sage, and he has the inheritance of the great emperor. He is so powerful that no one can defeat him. The second is the famous little sword saint. He has comprehended the law of the sword, which also shocked some sages. The third is Dealing. The number 1 on the Abyss leaderboard was very mysterious. Although he did not attack often, every attack was earth-shattering. The fourth is called in 13. He was a top young assassin of the Dark Moon Palace. Although his reputation wasn't as great as Yu Lingzi's, his strength was much stronger than Yu Lingzi's. Because he was a saint-level assassin, he could become an assassin saint. Hua Feiyu said the names of the 4 people in a row, and then shook his white, jade-like finger. Only they are qualified to be compared to the prodigy of the Shadowless tribe, Wu Yingchen. For people, didn't you say there was one more? Looks like you were just bragging. Gu Santong sneered. Hua Feiyu said coldly. Of course, there is one more person. He is the number 1 on the Abyss leaderboard, and also the number 1 on the Vermilion Bird leaderboard. He defeated Yin Nantian. He was called Lin Wudi. However, I reckon that he's already dead. Because right now, countless experts and saints from all over the universe want to kill him. He definitely won't be able to survive. Lin Wudi. Gu Santong's heart raced. He had defeated Yin Nantian, and his surname was Lin Xian. He could not help but look at Lin Xian. Could that Lin Wudi be the Lin Xian beside him? He wasn't sure. Because recently, he really didn't care much about the outside world. However, in his opinion, it shouldn't be possible. Hua Feiyu spoke again. Only these 5 people are qualified to compete with the top geniuses of the Shadowless clan. What about you? Who are you? Are you Yin Nantian or Dealing? At this point, her eyes were filled with mockery. He was a young man. Although he was very powerful, so what? Daring to go against the Shadowless clan. They must be tired of living. You know quite a lot. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. It was as if he did not care about these rumors at all. This smile made Hua Feiyu extremely unhappy. What was he pretending for? However, suddenly, her heart skipped a beat. Wait, she remembered that Gu Santong had just called him Brother Lin. That meant that his surname was Lin. Moreover, other than the Gu family, Gu Santong should not have many friends. However, this person in front of her was willing to stand up for Gu Santong. That meant that the 2 of them were very likely from the same world. According to her investigation, Yin Nantian and Gu Santong were from the same world. Other than that, there was another person, and that was Lin Wudi. Lin Wudi and Yin Nantian were also from the same world, and this person in front of her was surnamed Lin. Could it be that this person was him? She had a thought in her mind, but this thought struck her like lightning. She did not dare to believe it. That's impossible. Why would he come here? Wasn't he being chased by countless sages? However, when she saw Lin Xian's confident smile, she felt a chill run down her spine. She knew that she had guessed correctly. This person was that person. However, before she could say anything, the middle-aged sage, shadowless upper spirit, said coldly, "Sis, don't waste your time with them. I'll kill this kid now. I was careless just now. Now, I'll use all my strength." Having said that, he roared angrily. His entire body became illusory, and lines of blood-red runes appeared on his body. That was the power of the bloodline. It was obvious that Shadowless Upper Spirit was going to use his ultimate move, Shadowless Slash. This was indeed the ultimate move of the Shadowless tribe. With a slash, he could even kill someone who was more powerful than him. Now that he had used all his strength, he did not believe that Lin Xian could withstand it. "No, you can't do it," Hua Feiyu screamed. She had already guessed the identity of the person in front of her. Making a move against such a person was simply courting death. However, she did not have time to warn Lin Xian. Shadowless Upper Spirit had already made his move. Lin Xian's face darkened. "Since you want to die, I'll grant you your wish." Golden runes appeared on his palm, and the 5 elements' divine chains circled around them. His entire palm carried a terrifying wave of energy, as if it had turned into a giant dragon and rushed out. In an instant, the entire space exploded. The surrounding array flickered and even started to fluctuate. This wave of energy was so powerful that Gu Santong and Hua Feiyu were forced to retreat. The faces of the guards in the distance changed drastically as well. However, the Saint-level formation was actually showing signs of shattering at this moment. Who was the person who attacked them? This power was so terrifying that it alarmed everyone in the Celestial Advent Pavilion. When the elites rushed over, they were all stunned. They saw the sage blood in the sky being destroyed by a giant palm that was as big as a 5 elements mountain. The miserable cries sent chills down their spines. Finally, it disappeared into the sky. These people were crazy. What did they just see? Someone destroyed the sage blood. Someone killed a sage. And it happened in the blink of an eye. Who was this person? He was the god of death. Originally, the Celestial Advent Pavilion had a rule that no one was allowed to fight. Otherwise, they would kill that person. But now, they did not dare to do anything. Gu Santong was also stunned. Was he dead? A saint-level expert was killed just like that? Hua Feiyu's heart raced, and her body trembled. That's right, it was him. It must be him. It was because of him that he had such strength. The elites in the Celestial Advent Pavilion were also stunned. They even wanted to turn around and run. The entire space was eerily silent. As expected of the Peace Bloom flower, it could increase one's soul power. Lin Xian said calmly. He inserted the flower in his hand into Hua Feiyu's hair. Chapter 34:48. Hua Feiyu trembled in fear and did not dare to resist. Her heart was filled with fear. She was afraid that the other party would attack. Although she was also a sage, she was only at the first level of the first heaven. Even a mid-stage first heaven sage was instantly killed by the other party. How could she be a match for him? If the other party attacked at this time, she would not be able to escape death. You. She opened her cherry lips and wanted to say something, but she could not make a sound. It was as if the Grim Reaper had grabbed her by the neck. At this time, a sage from the Celestial Advent Pavilion spoke. He said in a low voice, "Who are you?" Lin Xian did not pay attention to the sage. Instead, he looked at Hua Feiyu with a faint smile. "Now, you should know who I am, right?" Hua Feiyu swallowed her saliva with difficulty. Although Lin Xian was not emitting any terrifying aura now, she could not breathe. However, she couldn't breathe anymore. She would be an idiot if she still didn't know who the other party was. "Lin Wudi, you are Lin Wudi." Her voice was filled with endless fear and trembling. "What, Lin Wudi?" The surrounding experts and sages from the Celestial Advent Pavilion were also stunned. They were not unfamiliar with this name because Lin Wuti had long been famous on the ancient road of the stars. First, he defeated Yin Nantian and then stirred up a storm in the void ocean. Now, countless experts were looking for him, but they did not expect that he would be here. He had appeared in the great Yin planet, and the moment he appeared, he had killed a sage. These people felt their scalps go numb. Fortunately, they did not rush forward rashly. Otherwise, they would be dead now. These people were filled with shock and fear. They did not dare to go forward. Many of them even took a few steps back. Su Chun stretched out a finger and gently flicked it. A ray of sword chi shattered the chains of law on the tower in front of him. Then he said, "Santong, take your brother away. Leave this to me." "Okay." Gu Santong nodded. He already knew that Lin Xian was very powerful. These people would definitely not dare to attack, so he did not hesitate and went forward to save his brother. Then he brought him out. When he left the spiritual celestial pavilion, Gu Santong's heart was filled with shock. He had never thought that Lin Xian would have such a reputation. Just his name alone was enough to make the people around him not dare to make a move. It was easy to imagine what Lin Xian had gone through before. The two of them were friends, and even though there was a difference in their strength, he didn't think that it would be too much of a difference. But now, he could only laugh bitterly. He was still a half-sage, while Lin Xian had become a sage. Moreover, his name shook the 10,000 realms. Those older generation experts all acknowledged allegiance to him. The difference was too great. However, he was not jealous. All he had was determination. He had to move forward on the path of martial arts. Thinking of this, he took a deep breath and flew into the distance. In the distance, the elders of the Gu clan were already waiting. They were very worried about Gu Santong's safety. When they saw Gu Santong come out, they heaved a sigh of relief. They had asked, "Did he not come out?" Sure enough, Gu Santong recounted everything that had happened. When the elders of the Gu clan heard it, they all gasped in shock. Heavens, Lin Gongzi was Lin Wuti. It really was him. I should have guessed it. Many elders were shocked. However, Gu Santong said that although Brother Lin was Lin Wuti and was very powerful and could intimidate these people, the Shadow Clan was definitely the top clan. But the Shadowless clan is definitely one of the top clans. If there really is a conflict, I'm afraid Brother Lin won't be able to resist. Young master, don't worry about this. If it was anyone else, they might not be able to handle it. But Lin Wuti could definitely do it. Even an existence like the Vermilion Bird Palace was unable to kill him, not to mention the Shadowless clan. Moreover, there were many factions and families that wanted to kill Lin Wuti, but he was still alive and well. Moreover, those who dared to provoke Lin Wuti all had terrible endings. If the Shadowless clan really dared to go against Lin Wuti, they would probably suffer heavy losses. Those elders were all very excited. They had heard all kinds of legends about Lin Wuti. Now that they knew it was Lin Wuti, they were very excited. Seeing their elders so excited, Gu Santong was even more shocked. It seemed that he had underestimated Lin Xian's reputation. Previously, their elders were very afraid of the Shadowless clan. But now, it seemed that no one was optimistic about the Shadowless clan. Instead, they were optimistic about Lin Wuti. What kind of strength did he have to be able to make these elders think this way? Gu Santong was extremely shocked. He could not help but turn his head to look at the Ling Xian pavilion in the distance. The pavilion was still silent. Everyone's eyes were on Lin Xian. Lin Xian's eyes were on Hua Feiyu. Hua Feiyu's face was extremely pale. It was as if she was being stared at by a ferocious beast. The blood in her body was about to freeze. Cold sweat dripped from her forehead and streaked across her beautiful face. "What do you want? If you touch me, the Shadowless clan will not let you off." Hua Feiyu could only threaten him. "Did you know? Those who have threatened me are all dead. For example, the Great Demon and some prodigies that you have heard of." Hearing this, Hua Feiyu's heart thumped. She knew that he was right. Lin Wuti's battle record was like thunder to her ears. If she dared to provoke him, he would definitely kill her with one slap. Although the Shadowless clan was powerful, so what? Which top sect did not want to kill him now? but he was still alive and well, so she knew that threatening him was useless. Hua Feiyu took a deep breath. Lin Gongzi, I was wrong this time. I apologize to you, and I promise that from now on, I will never have any ideas about Gu Santong. Please spare my life. The surrounding people were all stunned when they saw this scene. They were dumbfounded. What were they seeing? The little princess of the Shadowless clan, the high and mighty queen, was lowering her head to someone at this moment, and she was begging for mercy. This scene was simply like a dream. Su Qin's lips curled into a smile. He knew that Gu Santong's matter had been resolved. He was about to say something, but at this moment, Black Mountain spoke. Kid, there's something wrong. The girl in front of you is not ordinary. She seems to be hiding something in her body. Hearing Black Mountain's voice transmission, Lin Xian frowned and revealed a trace of surprise. Black Mountain was a supreme sage and had seen many things, so he could naturally see many key problems. Lin Xian said telepathically, What is it? Could it be the soul imprint of a sage? Something to protect one's life? He asked. Usually, he knew that top prodigies like this would be planted with a life-saving talisman of their clan's patriarch. However, he was not too concerned about this. It was just a life-saving talisman. It could not do anything to him. However, He Shan told him through voice transmission that he wasn't. Chapter 3449. Wasn't it? Lin Xian was stunned. If it wasn't a life-saving talisman, then what was it? It was a soul, a very weak soul. He Shan said telepathically. A remnant soul? Just like you. Lin Xian was surprised. He Shan said, It's not the same. It has an extremely strong death aura. It shouldn't exist in this world. But for some reason, it survived in this woman's body. He Shan sneered. Perhaps even this woman herself doesn't know that there is such a soul in her body. Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes flickered. There's such a thing? He asked. What does that have to do with us? Just kill this woman. No, I'm very curious. Who is it that came up with such a method? Kid, although I promise to assist you by your side, I also want to be resurrected one day. So I'm very interested in this method. Although I may not do it, maybe I can get some inspiration from it. I understand. Lin Xian nodded. A cold light appeared in his eyes. You can take action and grab the soul out. Okay, but help me cover it up. He Shan said telepathically. Hearing this, Lin Xian stretched out his palm. A black aura appeared on it, like a ghost. It was very scary. He grabbed Hua Feiyu. Hua Feiyu screamed like crazy, her face full of horror. Is he going to kill me? Is he really going to do it? No, please spare my life. She screamed. The people around were also stunned. If they killed Hua Feiyu, they would definitely start a war with the Shadowless clan. Lin Wudi is really strong. But soon, they were stunned. Hua Feiyu was also stunned. She saw the black palm pass through her body, but she was not injured. What's going on? She widened her beautiful eyes. The next moment, her whole body trembled because she found that the black palm was being pulled out of her body. At the same time, a black shadow came out. It was a very strange black shadow. It seemed that the latter wanted to return to her body. What's going on? Hua Feiyu was stunned. Why is there such a shadow in my body? This was too unbelievable. While she was in a daze, the black shadow suddenly let out a miserable shriek. Whoosh! After that, the entire space darkened as if it had turned into hell. Ghostly wails and howls could be heard all around. The terrifying aura made the surrounding sages' scalps go numb. What happened? Everyone in the Celestial Lin Pavilion was stunned. Many of them were trembling in fear. Hua Feiyu was even more stunned. Lin Xian sneered as he activated his great dragon sword soul. Sharp sword chi pierced out in all directions. Immediately, the miserable cries became even more terrifying. Hua Feiyu also revealed a pained expression. Half of the black shadow's body had left, and there was still a pair of legs inside her body. However, at this moment, a few Dao patterns suddenly lit up on her body and formed an array formation. She firmly locked onto the black shadow and seemed to want to stop it from escaping. Not only that, But Hua Feiyu's bloodline power was also activated out of nowhere. Hua Feiyu was stunned. He did not move at all. It was all controlled by someone else. What was going on? The black shadow in her body was actually able to control her bloodline power. Soul locking array? Heishan sneered, not caring at all. He did not care about a mere soul locking array. The black claw slapped a few times, and all of them were aimed at the vital points of the soul locking array. When Lin Xian saw this, he immediately unleashed his dragon-shaped sword qi and shattered those vital points. With a crack, the entire soul locking array was shattered into pieces. Hua Feiyu's body trembled as the black shadow was completely pulled out. Roar! Between heaven and earth, an extremely terrifying roar rang out. Then, the black shadow rushed out of the celestial Lin Pavilion, wanting to escape. However, how could Lin Xian let it escape? Countless dragon-shaped sword qi intertwined to form a dragon sword sacred realm, completely sealing off all the space. The black shadow crashed into the sword qi and let out a miserable cry. It quickly retreated, its face full of fear. These sword qis were capable of annihilating everything. There was no way this soul could escape. At this moment, Heishan also moved. Soul sealing seal. Between heaven and earth, countless Tao inscriptions formed a seal and shrouded the black soul. The soul wanted to resist, but after being slashed a few times by the sword qi, it became extremely weak and was finally sealed. Did you succeed? Lin Xian asked through telepathy. Heishan nodded and smiled, but soon she frowned. Wait a moment, kid. Chase all the people around out. Hearing this, Lin Xian was stunned. Then, he snorted coldly, get lost. If you don't want to die. The sword qi circled around, and all the people around it retreated. Even the sages felt their scalps go numb as they were pushed outside. Lin Xian took out an array and directly shrouded the entire space. In the next moment, he asked, "What's wrong?" "It's not over yet. It's more complicated than I thought." As she spoke, Heishan looked at Hua Feiyu. Xian also looked over. At this moment, Hua Feiyu was already sitting on the ground. Her face became extremely pale. She was stunned by the scene that had just unfolded. Now, she felt Lin Xian's gaze and suddenly her body trembled. She didn't know what he was going to do. At this moment, Heishan telepathically said, "Kid, do as I say." Then, Lin Xian heard Heishan's telepathic message. He was stunned, but soon, a cold look appeared in his eyes. With a wave of his hand, he directly shot out the 9 suns' divine fire and enveloped Hua Feiyu. Hua Feiyu was burned by the flames and immediately screamed, but she couldn't escape at all. Lin Xian's palm firmly enveloped her. "Don't worry, I won't kill you. Don't fight. There are some things on you that I have to figure out." "Figure out? What do you mean?" Hua Feiyu realized that the robe and armor on her body had all melted under the strange flames. She appeared in front of him like a newborn baby, which made her ears turn red. She had never faced a man like that. Lin Xian didn't have any abnormalities. He continued to activate the 9 suns' divine fire. Gradually, he realized that Hua Feiyu's body was changing again. Mysterious veined patterns appeared one after another. They were all Tao veins that were densely packed and crawled all over his body. Not only that, the shadow under Hua Feiyu's feet seemed to be twisting in pain. This scene made Lin Xian's hair stand. Hua Feiyu was terrified, but she didn't know what was happening. Lin Xian saw that the Tao patterns on Hua Feiyu's body, when combined, looked like a ghost head, using the soul to raise the corpse. "It's such a method," Heishan exclaimed, as if he didn't expect this to happen. Chapter 3450. What was going on? Lin Xian asked. Hua Feiyu was also stunned. She had never thought that there would be such a thing hidden in her body. Heishan said that this little girl was just a sacrifice, using her body to raise another person. Moreover, the Tao patterns on her body and this method made me think of an ancient legend. Ancient legend? What was that? Reincarnation. Reincarnation? Lin Xian was shocked. There was such a saying that after one died in battle, one would enter the 6 paths of reincarnation. Then, One would live in this world with a new life. And martial artists cultivated to escape this kind of reincarnation. There were 5 swords in the world, other than the Great Dragon Sword and the Heavenly Punishment Sword. There was another one called the Reincarnation Sword. It was said that it was related to the 6 paths of reincarnation. The Reincarnation Sword. Lin Xian was shocked. Suddenly, he felt that his heavenly secret divine eyes suddenly released a light. It was as if his eyes were like his heart, beating rapidly. What was going on? Lin Xian was shocked. The heavenly secret divine eyes had a reaction? Could it be related to the thing on Hua Feiyu's body? He did not know, but he was even more interested. It seemed that even if he did not help He Shan, he would have to study it himself. Then, who was this person who wanted to be revived? Lin Xian said again. He glanced at Hua Feiyu. Hua Feiyu was still in great shock. He Shan said that he was not sure, but it seemed that even the bloodline power had been activated. It was very likely that it was the ancestor of the Shadowless clan. Or, it was related to the Shadowless clan. Ancestor. This time, Hua Feiyu came back to her senses and screamed. Her face became extremely pale, as if she had thought of something. What did you think of? Tell me and I will spare your life. Lin Xian said coldly. I remember that when I was 5 years old, I was taught by the Grand Elder of the clan to go to the ancestral land of the Shadowless clan every month to pay respects. Every time I went there, I would fall asleep, and when I came back, I would wake up 3 days later. How long did this go on for? Hua Feiyu thought for a moment and then said, Until now, it was not every month, but every year. He Shan snorted coldly. It seemed like his guess was right. It was an old ancestor of the Shadowless clan who wanted to reincarnate. Was the patriarch resurrected? Hua Feiyu was also surprised. Then, a fiery light appeared in his eyes. When He Shan saw this, he sneered. It was foolish of you to think it was a good thing. After your ancestor revives, you will die and never fall into the cycle of reincarnation. You won't even have the chance to reincarnate. Do you still think this is a good opportunity? What? Hua Feiyu's body shook, his heart falling into a 10,000-year-old ice cave. Would she die? Moreover, his body and soul had been destroyed, and he could not even reincarnate. This wasn't what she wanted. She wanted the Shadowless clan to become stronger. She wanted the Shadowless clan's ancestor to come back to life. But the premise of all this was that she had to be the beneficiary. Now, if she died, then no matter how prosperous and powerful their family was, it would have nothing to do with her. This caused Hua Feiyu to feel a deep sense of fear. No, impossible. Why would the family do this to me? Sacrificing you to revive an ancestor and let the Shadowless clan prosper again. I think anyone would make such a choice. Lin Xian said coldly. No, I don't want to die. Hua Feiyu shook her head. She was only a few hundred years old. With her strength as a sage, she could still live for a few thousand years. Moreover, why should she be sacrificed? Kid, we are your saviors now. If we don't do anything, your yang qi and soul will be sucked dry within 10 years. Moreover, it seems that the one living in your body is only a split soul. The ancestor's corpse is still lying in your ancestral land. I guess your fate has been chosen. It's impossible to resist. There's only death. Do you want us to help you end your life? He Shan's cold voice sounded. Hua Feiyu shook his head. I can't die. I don't want to die. I can escape from the great Yin planet. Su Chen sneered. Can you escape the Shadowless clan's pursuit? The Shadowless clan's pursuit. Hua Feiyu's strength was instantly sucked dry. She knew how powerful her clan was. With her strength, it was impossible for her to escape. She would be caught before she could even escape from the great Yin planet. However, she really didn't want to die. In the next moment, she saw Lin Xian. Plop. She knelt in front of Lin Xian. Save me. As long as you save me, I will be yours from now on. Although this method would make him lose his freedom, it would allow her to live. She completely gave up resisting. From now on, you are my master. You can plant a slave seal in my soul. Seeing this, Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. The insufferably arrogant princess of the Shadowless clan, Hua Feiyu, was now at his feet. It was different from before. Previously, She had lowered her head and admitted her mistake. But now, she was kneeling at his feet and had become his slave. However, Lin Xian didn't plant a slave seal on her. He said coldly, "I won't plant a slave seal on you. However, since you have submitted to me, you can never betray me. If you dare to betray me, even if you escape to the ends of the earth or the borders of the universe, I will catch you and tear you to pieces. I, Lin Xian, am a man of my words." There was a hint of confidence in his eyes. "Yes, I definitely wouldn't dare." Hua Feiyu lowered her head deeply. Lin Xian nodded in satisfaction. Then, he said, "Get up." He released a force. Light appeared on Hua Feiyu's body. A ball of armor appeared and wrapped around her delicate body. Then, she asked, "Young master, what are your plans next?" "I am very interested in your ancestor, so I plan to go to the Shadowless clan to take a look." The Shadowless clan's ancestral land? Hua Feiyu's body trembled. Deep fear appeared in her eyes. To be honest, she didn't want to go back in her life because she knew how terrifying that place was. She even hoped that Lin Xian would take her away from the great Yin planet and go to any world. However, she didn't expect Lin Xian to want to go to the Shadowless clan. She wanted to say something, but when she saw Lin Xian's cold and determined eyes, she knew that she couldn't persuade the man in front of her. So, she could only say, "I understand. Young master, please come with me." Then, Lin Xian removed the array. Then, he followed Hua Feiyu. The two of them left the Spirit Immortal Pavilion and soared into the sky. They flew into the distance. After they left, the people of the Spirit Immortal Pavilion heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, they were very puzzled. What did Lin Xian and Hua Feiyu do in the array? They guessed that they couldn't figure it out. Chapter 3451. The Ancestral Land of the Shadowless Clan. This was the forbidden land of the Shadowless Clan. Only a small number of people were allowed to enter. Those who trespassed would be killed without mercy. Hence, there was usually no one here. At this moment, an angry voice suddenly came from the ancestral land. It was as if some huge monster had come back to life. At this moment, the people of the Shadowless clan were all trembling. It was as if something in their souls was making them terrified. The faces of the Shadowless clan's patriarch and several supreme elders instantly changed. What was going on? It seemed that something had happened to the ancestral land. The few people who were in charge of guarding the ancestral land also returned. They were so scared that their faces were pale. "Patriarch, something bad has happened." The patriarch of the Shadowless clan's patriarch's face sank. "Follow me to the secret room." They entered the secret room and asked, "What's going on?" That person said, "I don't know. It seems that the old patriarch is angry." The old patriarch was angry? What was going on? The patriarch and the supreme elders were stunned. That shouldn't be. The old patriarch had been sleeping all this time. Why would he be angry? Could it be that something had happened? One of the supreme elders had a grave expression. "This matter is too important. We should go there personally." All right, they hurried over. Then, the patriarch of the Shadowless clan personally walked in. Although he was the supreme ruler of the clan, he was as respectful as a child in the ancestral land. Trembling, he bowed and asked, "Greetings, old patriarch. May I know what has disturbed you?" There was a huge altar in front of him. Inside the altar, there was a black coffin. The black coffin was covered with Tao runes. There were also countless formations around it. At this moment, a mysterious shadow appeared in the black coffin. The shadow said in a hoarse voice, "Damn it. The soul I planted, the seed of resurrection, was destroyed by someone. Who was it? Find him and cut him into pieces. At the same time, bring back the sacrifice. There can be no accidents." What? The seed was destroyed? The patriarch of the Shadowless clan was shocked. No wonder the old patriarch was so angry. He said, "Don't worry, old patriarch. I'll do it right away." He turned into a ghost and rushed out in an instant. The senior elders outside were all waiting. When they saw that the family head had arrived, they all surrounded him. What had happened? Why was the patriarch so angry? The Shadowless family head frowned. A seed planted by the old ancestor had been destroyed. How could this be? Could it be the seed inside Hua Feiyu's body? But that shouldn't be the case. In our Grand Yin planet, who can threaten Hua Feiyu? He didn't know. Could it be the Gu family? Someone frowned. However, there were also people who sneered. Gu clan? If it was the real Gu family, they might be very powerful and be able to discover the secret. However, the current Gu family is merely a branch. They are even inferior to us. How could they possibly discover the secret of our ancestor? Then, there is only one other possibility. That is that some peerless powerhouse of the universe has arrived at our grand spill planet. Perhaps he had met Hua Feiyu. No, we have to find him quickly and bring Hua Feiyu back safely. After the discussion, the Shadowless family asked coldly, "Where is Hua Feiyu?" Suddenly, a figure appeared beside him and knelt on one knee. At the Celestial Lincian Pavilion. Send someone to the Celestial Lin Pavilion to find out what happened. Also, summon Hua Feiyu back. Yes, the Shadowless family was on the move. After all, this matter was related to their ancestor. They couldn't help but be nervous. At the same time, the Supreme Elder's eyes flashed. Who was it that could discover the secret of their ancestor? No matter who this person was, they had to get rid of him. Otherwise, their Shadowless family would be in big trouble. On the other side, Lin Xian and Hua Feiyu left the Celestial Spirit Pavilion and quickly flew towards the Shadowless family. Along the way, Hua Feiyu led the way while Lin Xian didn't say a word. In fact, he was communicating with He Shan using his soul. "Kid, be careful. We killed a wisp of his soul. Maybe that existence already knows." Lin Xian said, "I'm not worried about anything else. I can handle it. However, if that old guy really revives, I'm afraid I won't be able to handle it. At that time, it'll be up to you. Don't worry. As long as he's not a great emperor, I don't care about anything else." He Shan sneered. Indeed, he was a great sage when he was alive. He was second only to a great emperor. Therefore, even if there was an old immortal in the Shadowless family, he wouldn't be afraid. Moreover, according to He Shan's analysis, that person should have died long ago. It was just that he used some method to come back to life. Therefore, He Shan and Lin Xian wanted to test him this time. They wanted to see what kind of method he had used to escape from the cycle of reincarnation. Although the Shadowless family was a family, it was an overlord in the Great Yin planet. Therefore, the entire Shadowless family was like a vast country. After flying for a long time, they finally arrived at the edge of the Shadowless family. Hua Feiyu turned around and said, "Young master, we've arrived at the edge of the family. However, our family's sphere of influence is bigger. It will take a long time to reach the core area. Should I use the family's array to teleport us over?" "No need," Lin Xian said indifferently. Hua Feiyu was stunned. He thought Lin Xian was going to fly over. However, Lin Xian said that someone had found them. What? Hua Feiyu probed with his soul power. Indeed, in the next moment, he frowned. This was because he realized that there were a few figures flying over quickly from afar. He was familiar with that person. "Oh, isn't this Sister Feiyu? Aren't you at the Celestial Lin Pavilion? Why are you here?" "Great. Everyone in the family is looking for you. Come back with me." It was a woman's voice. Before the voice had completely disappeared, the figure had already appeared. It was also a beautiful woman. Her appearance was similar to Hua Feiyu, but she was more enchanting. She didn't come alone. Behind her, there were 9 figures following her. The 9 figures were very powerful. At this moment, their expressions were incomparably dignified. However, the enchanting woman in front had a cold smile on her face. "Is that so? I'm going back too. Men, bring me my Saint Beast and chariot," Hua Feiyu said. Her status in the Shadowless family was not ordinary. Therefore, when she went out or returned home, it was very ostentatious. Her spirit boat and chariot were of very high grade. They might even surpass the existence of a half-step Saint Tool. Moreover, every time, there would be some powerful half-step Saint Beast pulling her chariot. This showed the strength of the Shadowless family. At the same time, it also showed her supreme status. Hearing Hua Feiyu's words, the enchanting woman laughed. Chapter 3452. Sister Feiyu, you're really extravagant as usual. Unfortunately, there's nothing today. You'd better follow me back. Speaking of this, she took out the spirit boat that was decorated very luxuriously. Follow her back? Seeing her reaction, Hua Feiyu frowned. Seems like you've become so reckless after not being taught a lesson for a few days? Hua Feiyu, you're too full of yourself. Do you really think that you can still be so arrogant now? The enchanting woman sneered, and a vicious look appeared in her eyes. To be honest, the battle between the big families was very cruel. Although they were all from the same family, Hua Feiyu's treatment since she was young was much better than theirs. Within the whole family, it was rumored that Hua Feiyu was the next successor of the Shadowless family. This made the others extremely jealous. Therefore, at this moment, the enchanting woman was very happy to see Hua Feiyu's miserable end. Don't think about your treatment as the successor. Now, whether you can live or not is another matter. The family has already ordered that you must be found and brought back, interrogated by torture. Therefore, you're now a prisoner. For the sake of my sister, I gave you some face and did not arrest you directly. If you dare to be arrogant in front of me again, believe it or not, I'll get someone to seal you and bring you back. Hearing such sarcastic words, Hua Feiyu's face completely darkened and her delicate body was trembling. To be honest, she had always been high and mighty in the family, like a princess. No one dared to provoke her. The younger generation did not dare to, but the older generation loved her very much. For something like this, the other party would probably have been tortured to death by her. Previously, she thought that she was able to win the love of the grand elders and the family because of her good talent. But now, she knew that this was not the case. It was because these people wanted to use her body to revive the old ancestor. That was why she was praised to the heavens. However, this huge difference in status made Hua Feiyu unable to accept it. Why? Do you feel very uncomfortable? Do you want to kill me? Unfortunately, you don't have the right. From now on, you're a prisoner. You'd better kneel down and beg me. Maybe on the way back, I can torture you less. Otherwise, I can guarantee that when we return to the clan, I will let you have a taste of a fate worse than death. The enchanting woman lazily leaned on the jade couch as her voice was incomparably cold. He had to torture this little princess. You. Hua Feiyu trembled in anger. A terrifying aura rose from her body, and she was about to attack. However, in the next moment, she was stunned. That was because a piercingly cold sword chi flew past her. A beam of light streaked across the sky and instantly enveloped the enchanting woman. A miserable cry rang out, and then the entire sky was split open. How noisy! Lin Xian flicked his finger. He was the one who had shot out the sword chi. He had a purpose for coming here. Why would he listen to the nonsense of a little ant? Hua Feiyu's eyelids twitched, and that fear appeared again. In the distance, the 9 experts were stunned. One of their sisters had died. How was this possible? Who was this person? How dare he kill someone from the Shadowless clan? These people's minds were a little blank. Previously, they had thought that Lin Xian was Hua Feiyu's friend, but they did not pay much attention to it. Now, it seemed that was not the case. A friend dared to touch someone from the Shadowless clan? However, no matter who this kid was, he was dead for daring to touch someone from the Shadowless clan. Courting death, one of them roared and slammed his palm over. The others also drew their weapons one after another. A terrifying attack flew towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian sneered. They did not know what was good for them. These little ants were not enough in front of him. A beam of sword chi rose from his finger and flew in all directions. The sword chi was very bright and carried the power of the 5 elemental laws. It instantly enveloped those people. With a poof, the 9 people were cut into pieces by the sword chi, and all kinds of miserable cries rang out. Then, Lin Xian stretched out his golden hand, which carried a terrifying divine fire, and directly burned the bodies of the 9 people clean. In the blink of an eye, these people were annihilated by him. Beside him, Hua Feiyu was shocked. She felt that she was numb. But when she saw Lin Xian attack again, she was still terrified. He was too strong. No wonder he dared to call himself Invincible Lin. Lin Xian glanced at Hua Feiyu and said, "Why? Are you still worried? The safety of the Shadowless clan?" Based on the current situation, the Shadowless clan has already started to capture you. You should worry about your own safety first. Hearing this, Hua Feiyu's face changed instantly. Indeed, her clan must have found out about her. Otherwise, her cousin would not have dared to treat her like this. It seemed that her clan was determined to capture her. Since that was the case, why should she worry about her clan's safety? "Sir, don't worry. I am now your servant and have nothing to do with the Shadowless clan." Hua Feiyu seemed to have made a decision. "Very good. Soon, you will be grateful for your decision," Lin Xian said indifferently. Then, he said, "Let's go. Lead the way to the ancestral land of the Shadowless clan." Lin Xian waved his hand, and the seductive woman's body was evaporated. Then, he grabbed the spiritual boat forcefully. He and Hua Feiyu sat on it, and Hua Feiyu started to control the spiritual boat. They headed towards the Shadowless clan quickly. At the same time, the entire Shadowless clan started to move. Many of them came back to report that they had found Hua Feiyu's whereabouts. Someone had already gone to capture Hua Feiyu. "You must bring her back. You must capture her alive, and try not to hurt her. Also, send more people. We still don't know who helped Hua Feiyu remove the seed in her body. However, to be able to discover Hua Feiyu's secret, it must be an expert. If necessary, send more sages." "Yes, we will go and prepare now." Among them, a few elders also stood up and prepared to head over to Celine Feiyu. However, just as they stood up, their bodies swayed and they almost fell. At the same time, a thunderous sound was heard. Boom! The sound was so terrifying that the entire Shadowless clan shook violently. "Why? Is there an earthquake? How is that possible? We are in the spirit vein. How can there be an earthquake? What is going on?" The elders and experts in the main hall were all stunned. Outside, a few guards rushed in crazily. They knelt on the ground and reported, "Oh no! Someone is attacking us. Our clan's defensive array has been split open." Chapter 3453. What? The people in the hall were all stunned. Their defensive array had been split open. What was going on? The Shadowless clan was an overlord. Who would dare to provoke them? Moreover, their defensive array was so powerful that even a sage could not break it. Now, someone had actually split it open. Who was it? Had the other top clans joined forces to attack them? If the other clans had joined forces, it might have been possible. However, a few guards came over and said in horror, "No, it's Princess Hua Feiyu. She's back." "What? Hua Feiyu? She's back. Wait, who's with her? Is someone threatening her?" One of the elders shouted coldly. Perhaps it was that mysterious expert who had made a move. The guard hurriedly said, Princess Hua Feiyu was not threatened, but there was indeed a person following beside her. It was a very beautiful young man. A young man. In the main hall, the elders were all stunned. If it was a very powerful elder, they would believe it. But what was going on with the young man? At this moment, an elder said coldly, perhaps it was just a young man who had lived for thousands of years. Indeed, these subordinates did not have good eyesight and might not be able to recognize that expert. "Let's go out and take a look." Humph! How dare he come to the Shadowless clan and behave so atrociously? No matter who he is, he won't be able to leave. These people sneered. Among them, the head of the Shadowless clan stood up and walked forward with large strides. Behind him, the elders and experts all followed. They wanted to see who dared to behave atrociously in front of the Shadowless clan. In the core area of the Shadowless clan, there was a huge array. At this moment, the array had been split into two, and the spatial crack would not heal for a long time. The large crack made the Shadowless clan's experts inside feel numb. At this moment, two figures were standing outside the formation. They were Lin Xian and Hua Feiyu. Lin Xian and Hua Feiyu came to the core area. Then, Lin Xian used his peerless swordsmanship, 9 suns opened the sky, to split open the array. This caused the scene just now. At this moment, countless members of the Shadowless clan rushed out of the defensive formation. They were densely packed, and like ghosts, they attacked at high speed. There were even some people who completely surrounded Lin Xian and Lin Xian. Seeing this, Hua Feiyu's face turned ugly. Although she was also a saint, she was unable to defend herself against such an overwhelming attack, as well as those elders and experts. She looked worriedly at Lin Xian, but Lin Xian just stood there with his hands clasped behind his back. He narrowed his eyes and looked incomparably calm. He was different from Hua Feiyu. He was not a flower that grew up in a greenhouse. He had fought his way up step by step. It could be said that he had been through hundreds of battles, and there was nothing that he had not seen before. The people who came out now were not enough to move him. Let's go. I think the people inside already know. Let's go and meet them. Lin Xian walked straight ahead. Hua Feiyu's scalp went numb, but he still followed closely behind. Now, Lin Xian was her life-saving straw. Without Lin Xian, she could not withstand the anger of the Shadowless clan. Therefore, she could only follow Lin Xian in. Kill. Around them, the Shadowless clan experts roared crazily. The person before them had first breached their defensive formation, and now, he was acting so recklessly, daring to enter their core region. This made them extremely angry. In an instant, all the members of the Shadowless clan around them moved. In the sky, countless energies surged, densely packed, and rushed toward Lin Xian. Flames appeared on Lin Xian's body one after another, forming patterns that were abnormally terrifying. God of 9 Suns' body bloomed, and at the same time, the divine fire formed an illusion of a giant, enveloping him and Hua Feiyu. The giant followed Lin Xian's footsteps and also walked forward. Around them, all the attacks of the Shadowless clan hit the golden giant, causing a shocking explosion. However, they could not shake the golden giant at all. In this way, Lin Xian directly entered the core area of the Shadowless clan. How is that possible? How can he block so many attacks? The surrounding members of the Shadowless clan were all stunned. With so many of them attacking, even a saint would be injured, right? Kill. Many people directly moved. They did not attack from afar, but directly closed in. They were like shadows, and in an instant, more than a dozen figures came in front of Lin Xian. The weapons in their hands stabbed at his vital points. The other party's divine powers were powerful, but his body would not be able to block their attacks. Boom, boom, boom. More than a dozen knives, swords, and daggers, flickering with demonic light, slashed fiercely on Lin Xian's body, making countless thunderous sounds. Flames splashed, and the void shattered. This force was too powerful, and it could destroy everything. Hee, die, kid. They smiled ferociously. Soon, their smiles froze, and they became frightened. He was not injured. They screamed as if they had gone crazy. Lin Xian did not even turn his head. He pushed his hand, and the huge golden hand, with the power of stormy waves, directly pushed in all directions. The bodies of more than a dozen Shadowless clan powerhouses around him instantly exploded. At the same time, Lin Xian controlled the golden giant to take a step forward. At the same time, his hands danced like 2 huge mountains. The surrounding Shadowless clan powerhouses were either stomped to death or sent flying. In an instant, screams rang out, and the ground and wind shook. It was a scene of destruction. Hua Feiyu followed behind him, her face full of shock. This scene was too shocking. This was the Shadowless clan, the core area of the Shadowless clan. Who would dare to behave atrociously here? But now, a young man was killing in all directions. Countless corpses of the Shadowless clan powerhouses fell, and the sea of blood turned into hell. No one dared to move forward. Those who were still alive stood far away, their bodies trembling. They moved with Lin Xian, but no one dared to make a move. Damn it! A group of people walked out of the hall in the distance. Originally, they were aggressive and had cold smiles on their faces. They wanted to see who dared to be impudent. When they arrived, they saw a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood in front of them. Those who had died were all the elites of the Shadowless clan. Immediately, the elders screamed, "Damn it! Who is it? Who dares to kill so many of our elites?" Cold runes burst out from their eyes, and a terrifying light pierced through the void. They stared at the two figures who were still standing in front of them. Hua Feiyu. "Damn it, you bitch! How dare you attack the clan?" One of the elders instantly rushed over. His speed was extremely fast, and he arrived in front of them in an instant. A black dagger appeared in his hand, and it carried an extremely terrifying poison. This was a poison technique that was refined with the blood of 3 demon saints. It was extremely terrifying. The cold dagger slashed forward. Chapter 3454. Everything happened so quickly that the Shadowless clan members did not react in time. When they did, they screamed, "Don't kill her, just capture her." They were still afraid that their experts would hurt Hua Feiyu. However, it was obvious that they were thinking too much. Hua Feiyu took 2 steps back and retreated behind Lin Xian. Lin Xian threw out a punch. His fist shone brightly and Dao runes surrounded it. It was like a god's fist as it blasted toward the Shadowless clan expert. Boom! There was an intense collision, and then the void exploded. A figure flew out. It was the Shadowless clan expert. Both of his hands were broken, and there was a hole in his body. His internal organs were all shattered. The people behind him were stupefied. They were incomparably shocked. That was a sage. He was defeated so easily by the other party. Who was this young man in front of them? Damn it! Who are you? Hua Feiyu. How dare you join forces with outsiders to attack the clan? On the other side, there was a series of crazy roars. Clan? Are you also my clansman? What did you do to me? Hua Feiyu's voice was hoarse. You have already planned to sacrifice me. Why should I care about the clan? Every man for himself. Since you forced me, don't blame me for being ruthless. Hua Feiyu's eyes were filled with determination. He had to live. He had to live. Damn it, Hua Feiyu. As a member of the Shadowless clan, you naturally have to sacrifice for the Shadowless clan. It's your good fortune to be chosen by the ancestor. Hurry up and kneel down and admit your mistake. We will spare your life and let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, you will have to bear the anger of the entire clan. You don't have to threaten me. I have a new master now. I will listen to whatever master says. Hua Feiyu looked at Lin Xian. On the other side, the Shadowless clan members were all sealed. Master? The genius that they had painstakingly nurtured had become someone else's slave? This made their lungs explode with anger. In an instant, countless eyes looked at Lin Xian. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. Damn kid, who are you? Get over here and die. I will tear you to pieces. These people were mad with anger. Lin Xian coldly snorted. I'm here to investigate your Shadowless clan's ancestral land. If you don't want to die, get out of my way. What? Were they here to plot against their ancestral land? These people were stunned for a moment before they flew into a rage. Could it be that they were here for their patriarch? Damn it, kill him. I must kill him. He could not allow him to threaten the old ancestor. All of a sudden, the members of the Shadowless clan all rushed towards Lin Xian. On Lin Xian's body, the 5 elemental laws emanated and wrapped around his arms. Then, he slashed in all directions. The 9-yang sword technique was incomparably terrifying when used by him. Those Shadowless clan members were all sent flying. Even the saints of the first heaven were unable to get close. What about the array formation? Use the killing array to kill him. The family head roared furiously. The people around him were casting formations. Countless formations were stacked on top of each other. However, Lin Xian let out a long roar. He opened the sky with both hands, and the sword chi on his body swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands, shattering all the sword techniques. At the same time, he used the aqua tide. A terrifying light appeared in his eyes, and his pupil technique spread out in all directions. The surrounding Shadowless clan members all held their heads and screamed. Those who were weak had their souls directly destroyed. Even the sages' faces were pale and filled with fear. In an instant, the shadowless clan members were all stunned. A young man had suppressed them to the point that they could not even raise their heads? Who was this person? Who dared to cause trouble in the shadowless clan? A cold voice sounded between heaven and earth. Then, the void split open, and an old man walked out. When they saw the old man, many people cheered. It was the Grand Elder. Grand Elder, please attack. Kill him, Grand Elder. You must kill him. He killed so many of our elites. And that Hua Feiyu, Grand Elder, you must suppress her. Countless people prostrated themselves on the ground. The Grand Elder's gaze darkened as he looked at Lin Xian and Hua Feiyu. He did not say anything. His palm covered the sky and the earth, grabbing towards the two of them. Hua Feiyu's face turned incomparably pale. Young master, this is not good. This is the Grand Elder, a level 2 saint. A level 2 saint? Lin Xian sneered. He waved his hand, and the 5 elemental laws revolved, forming a 5 elemental treasure wheel that rushed forward. This was a law artifact formed by the 5 elemental laws. It was very terrifying, and it slashed across the sky like a death scythe. Boom, boom, boom. Cracks spread between heaven and earth, and the surrounding space kept shattering. The shadowless clan members were also frantically retreating. In front of them, it was a scene of destruction. However, the shadowless clan members were extremely excited. They knew that the Grand Elder who attacked them was a level 2 late-stage elder. He was very powerful. With him attacking, they could definitely destroy the strong enemy. The other party would definitely not survive. Just like that, they waited patiently. The light in front of them gradually dimmed, and the cracks also disappeared. However, they were soon stunned. The reason for that was because they discovered that 2 figures had appeared before them. How could it be? The shadowless clan members were dumbfounded. They kept slapping their faces, thinking that they had fallen into an illusion. The other party was fine. How could he not be dead? That was the attack of a level 2 elder. Hua Feiyu was also stunned. To be honest, the attack just now had made her feel hopeless. She thought that Lin Xian would not be able to block the Grand Elder's attack. But now, it seemed that she had thought too much. The young man in front of her dared to come to the Shadowless clan, which meant that he had enough means. What Grand Elder? He was just kneel on the ground obediently and submit to me, and I will not kill you. My target is your ancestral land. Otherwise, if you dare to stop me again, I will send you on your way. Lin Xian looked forward and said indifferently. Hearing this, the Shadowless clan members in the distance went crazy. Threat. Someone actually dared to threaten their Grand Elder. He was too bold. Kid, you have thoroughly angered me. I will let you taste the feeling of living a life worse than death. The Grand Elder rushed over and began to attack crazily. His heart was filled with anger. How dare a kid threaten him? This was intolerable. Shadow Saint, go to hell. The Grand Elder shouted, and the sacred domain rushed out and enveloped Lin Xian. Countless shadows appeared and pounced on Lin Xian. Each attack could easily kill a level 1 saint. Lin Xian's eyes shone with an unparalleled light. His fists swept out in all directions, and the powerful force tore apart all the shadows that came close to him. Even the sacred domain was trembling from his attacks. However, at this moment, that utmost exalted elder let out a long shout. The entire sacred domain suddenly shrank and disappeared. Lin Xian's face changed. His body stiffened as if he had been fixed in the void. Ha ha ha, kid. You have been hit by my shadowless technique. Let's see how you will die. Chapter 3455. Not good. Hua Feiyu's face became extremely ugly, and the people of the Shadowless clan in the distance all started laughing, because they knew that the other party was dead meat. Sure enough, Lin Xian was motionless in the air, as if he had been frozen. Under his feet, his shadow was strangely entangled by the other's shadow. Young master, be careful. This was a shadow technique, and he couldn't control it. Hua Feiyu screamed. He also knew this shadow technique. It was the ultimate technique of the Shadowless clan. As long as he could entangle the opponent's shadow, he could force the opponent to do anything. For example, right now, the Grand Elder raised his hand and controlled the shadow to stab Lin Xian's heart and head. Wang. Lin Xian's hand was pulled up by the shadow, and he was about to commit suicide. No. Hua Feiyu closed his eyes. He felt despair. Was Lin Xian really going to die here? If Lin Xian died, her fate would be very miserable. Lin Xian seemed to have been controlled. The hand was getting closer and closer to his forehead. If it pierced through, even if he didn't die, he would be seriously injured. The Grand Elder revealed a sinister smile. To fight with him, the other party was too weak. Shadow technique? It was indeed strange, but unfortunately, it was useless against me. Just as Lin Xian's hand was about to touch his forehead, he stopped and sneered. What's going on? Why did he stop? The Grand Elder was stunned and hurriedly controlled the shadow. He wanted to speed up, but the other party didn't commit suicide. Instead, he stopped there. No matter how hard the shadow tried to pull him, he did not move at all. How could this be? Impossible. Could it be that it had failed? The Supreme Elder's expression changed. The people of the Shadowless clan were also shocked. Hua Feiyu was also stunned. Lin Xian's body shook. The 9-yang divine body emitted millions of rays of light as a sword chi tore apart all the shadows on his body. It was useless. Xian walked forward, and his aura grew stronger and stronger. Not good. The Grand Elder's face turned completely gloomy. His secret technique was actually ineffective against the other party. Humph. He snorted coldly. It seemed that he could only use other secret techniques to deal with this brat. He raised his hand and shot out several streaks of void. Not good. It's the invisible needle. Young master, be careful. Hua Feiyu screamed again from behind. The shadowless needle was a top-notch hidden weapon. Furthermore, it was coated with poison. Even saints would die if they were hit by it. If he was stabbed, he would be in danger. Boom. Lin Xian stomped his foot, and the sword chi on his body flickered. He directly shook off the shadowless needle. At the same time, he used stellar transposition to send the shadowless needles flying with even more terrifying power. He rushed towards the Grand Elder. The Supreme Elder issued a command and hurriedly dodged. Damn it, what the hell is going on? Humph, Supreme Elder? That was all there was to it. Now, this battle was over. Lin Xian's expression was incomparably solemn. He felt that there was no need to continue fighting with his opponent. Therefore, he pulled out the Spear of Great Destruction. The Great Dragon Sword Soul was also activated. Like a long dragon, it pierced forward. What? How terrifying. The combination of the two forces caused heaven and earth to continuously shatter. The people of the Shadowless clan were all stunned. Even the Supreme Elder's expression became incomparably ugly. This aura made him feel terrified. Damn it, block it for me. He waved his hands and fiercely attacked in front of him. At this moment, he no longer held back. At the same time, his body became void and completely disappeared into the void. The Shadowless clan might not be the strongest in a head-on battle, but in terms of hiding, escaping, and assassination, they were definitely the most confident. You can't escape. Lin Xian's eyes flickered with golden light. He used the Kuan Pong movement technique and dodged the Supreme Elder's full-powered attack. Then, the Spear of Great Destruction danced and pierced into the void. Then, the void shattered, and a figure was nailed in the void. His body was pierced by the Spear of Great Destruction. His saint blood dyed the void red. The Supreme Elder's heart was pierced, and he kept screaming in the air. A saint artifact. Damn it, that's a saint artifact. How can you have such a thing in your hands? The Supreme Elder had gone crazy. However, he was strong. Although he was nailed, he could still fight back. Die for me. A dark golden dagger appeared in his hand, and he ruthlessly stabbed at Lin Xian's neck. Although it wasn't a saint artifact, its power was still very terrifying. Stellar transposition. Lin Xian waved, and the dark golden dagger was directly transferred to the Supreme Elder's body. With a slash, the Supreme Elder's head was cut off. His face was full of horror and disbelief. However, in the next moment, he screamed. Because Lin Xian didn't stop. Blue tide rising. Attacking Ling Hunzi, The High Elder let out a miserable shriek as if he had gone mad. Lin Xian used the Spear of Great Destruction and shot out a few dragon-shaped sword chi, completely shattering the Supreme Elder's body. The aura of the Great Dragon Sword Soul made it impossible for the Supreme Elder to heal in a short time. Boom! The 9 Young Divine body transformed into a giant and stepped on the Supreme Elder's broken body. Lin Xian was like a peerless tyrant, looking down on the world. Everyone was stunned. Hua Feiyu stared at the scene with her eyes wide open. Was this Lin Wuti? He was too strong. In the distance, the people of the Shadowless clan were terrified. They were trembling. Even the Supreme Elder was suppressed by the other party. The Supreme Elder's body was being stepped on by the Golden Foot, and he couldn't resist at all. At the same time, there was a look of horror in his eyes. Such a young person could have such a terrifying sword chi and such a terrifying physique. Also, the pitch-black weapon emitted demonic chi. He finally guessed who the other party was. In all the worlds, there was only one such young person, and that was Lin Wuti. Lin Wuti was in the Shadowless clan. He couldn't believe it. On the opposite side, the Shadowless clan's patriarch and elders were also terrified. The Supreme Elder was an existence that they looked up to. But now, such an existence was being stepped on by the foot of the other party. It was as if this foot was just stepping on the Supreme Elder. Even their confidence and arrogance had been trampled on. He knew that the person in front of him was a peerless enemy. He had to activate the Shadowless clan's foundation. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to fight back. So, he roared, hurry up and activate the last line of defense. Release our foundation. Not good. Hua Feiyu's face changed again. The foundation of the Shadowless clan was absolutely terrifying. That was the foundation of the Shadowless clan. She looked at Lin Xian, but saw that Lin Xian didn't care. In fact, Lin Xian was transmitting a message to Heishan. Is there a problem? Heishan laughed. Don't worry, I've already made arrangements. They won't be able to contact me. Chapter 3456. Soon, the people of the Shadowless clan began to scream in agony. Oh no, we can't awaken the living fossil. We can't seem to contact him. Countless screams were heard. The patriarch of the Shadowless clan trembled violently and spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood. He seemed to have aged 1,000 years in an instant. There shouldn't be a problem with their clan's foundation. They couldn't contact him because the young man in front of them had done something. When did he do it? He didn't know. He knew that he had underestimated the young man. The next moment, he sighed. Young master, please stop. We've surrendered. You can tell us what you want. Ancestral land. The faces of the experts of the Shadowless clan changed. The elders also sucked in a breath of cold air. Their faces were filled with disbelief. However, the patriarch of the Shadowless clan made a face and transmitted his voice. Doesn't he want to enter the ancestral land? Don't you know how strong our patriarch is? That kid will definitely die. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding elders were stunned. Then they all breathed a sigh of relief. Indeed, they didn't let the other party enter not because they were worried about their patriarch, but because they felt that they had been humiliated. They were one of the top clans, and their ancestral land was a sacred place. Even their own clansmen didn't have the qualifications to enter. How could they tolerate an outsider suddenly running over and saying that they could enter alone? But now, they realized. It seemed that there was only one way to trick the other party into the ancestral land. Then, they would let their patriarch personally deal with the other party. Hua Feiyu couldn't believe that his clan had risen and fallen. This scene was like a dream. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. I'm not interested in you guys. I'm here to find your ancestral land. Lead the way. Don't worry. As long as you don't do anything and lead the way, I won't kill the Shadowless clan. The ancestral land of the Shadowless clan was a forbidden area. Other than the patriarch, a few elders with high authority, and the Supreme Elder, no one had entered. The others had never entered at all. So at this moment, their faces were full of curiosity. What does this person want to do in their ancestral land? Everyone followed the patriarch and headed toward the ancestral land. Lin Xian strode forward. He was like a god. Wherever he passed, no one dared to stop him. After passing through layers upon layers of defensive formations, they finally arrived at the deepest region. This was the forbidden area of the clan. In front of him, there were more than 10 huge mountain ranges. In the middle of the mountain range, there was an ancient cave. 2 simple and unadorned doors were tightly shut. On it were the most exquisite Tao patterns. A mysterious aura pervaded the air. "Young master, I'll bring you there now." The patriarch of the Shadowless clan said respectfully. At the same time, he said to the people around him, "This is the clan's forbidden area. You can only stay outside and no one is allowed to enter. Trespassers will be killed without mercy." The surrounding Shadowless clan members could only agree. Facing that door, they didn't dare to cross it. Lin Xian nodded and then said to Hua Feiyu, "You also wait here. Don't worry, no one will dare to touch you." "Yes." Hua Feiyu nodded. Although her face was pale, she still waited obediently. She did not dare to resist at the moment. Everyone was waiting. Their gazes were all on the front. Lin Xian followed the patriarch of the Shadowless clan and walked forward. Boom, boom, boom. The ancient doors were slowly pushed open, revealing the darkness inside. Lin Xian did not hesitate at all and walked straight in. Boom. After the two of them entered, the ancient doors slowly closed. Not even a ray of light shone through. After entering, the aura inside was even more strange. Lin Xian frowned. This feeling made him very uncomfortable. It was as if this was a place of the dead. The aura of death was constantly trying to devour his flesh and blood. He snorted coldly. The sword will in his body circulated, isolating the aura of the dead. At the same time, he squinted his eyes. Golden light flashed as he looked around. This place was very old. At first glance, one could tell that it was very old. This kind of building could not be seen anywhere except in some ancient ruins. What attracted him the most was a huge altar in front of him. There was a black coffin on the altar. The aura of death was the most dignified there. Just as Lin Xian was admiring the tea, the leader of the Shadowless clan knelt on the ground with a plop and said very respectfully, "This disciple is unfilial. Please, Patriarch." Whoosh! A black storm seemed to blow around them, bringing with it a gloomy aura. Lin Xian snorted coldly. A layer of sword chi covered his body, isolating him from the black storm. In front of him, the Shadowless Patriarch's body trembled. The next moment, he opened his eyes. Black light flowed in his eyes. The black storm around him disappeared. He stood up and turned to look at Lin Xian. Although he still looked the same, his aura and gaze were completely different from before. It was an aura that looked down on the world and looked down on everything. It was as if he did not take anyone seriously at all. Lin Xian frowned. He felt that the Shadowless Patriarch seemed to be a different person. He was indeed arrogant. If he was careful, he was no longer the patriarch of the Shadowless clan. He was probably being controlled by their patriarch. Lin Xian was on guard. The Shadowless Patriarch's eyes flashed black. "Who are you? Why have you come to see me? Are you the patriarch of the Shadowless clan? I'm curious. How can someone who has been dead for who knows how many tens of thousands of years still be alive?" Buzz. The Shadowless Patriarch's pupils shrank. The black light in his eyes became even more terrifying. A black storm rose from his body and swept through the 9 heavens. It was as if countless demons were dancing in the sky. The aura was too terrifying. It seemed to want to tear Lin Xian apart. Lin Xian snorted coldly. His body shone brightly like the sun in the night. At the same time, sword chi surrounded him, shattering all the black storm around him. "It seems that I was right. You shouldn't exist in this world. Tell me your secret and I can spare your life. Otherwise, I'll destroy your body and soul and make you disappear completely." "Destroy my body and soul and make me disappear completely?" The Shadowless Patriarch laughed loudly. "You're just an ant. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? But I'm curious. Who are you? How dare you know my secret?" Lin Xian had heard a lot about the Shadowless Patriarch from He Shan, so he sneered. "Is it that hard to guess your secret? You've been dead for many years. but you've planted a soul fragment in someone else's body. You used your soul to raise a corpse in an attempt to escape the 6 paths of reincarnation. You did it secretly, but you can't fool me. It seems that you know a lot. What else do you know? The shadowless patriarch didn't attack immediately. He seemed to be trying to confirm who Lin Xian was. Which force did he belong to? He was probing him. Chapter 3457. I also know that you're struggling at death's door. You probably can't even leave this cave, so you can only send some of your soul into a junior's body. You seem strong now, but it's just a bluff. Your true strength is only SOSO, so don't try to fight me. Otherwise, you'll definitely die. It seems that you know a lot. Since that's the case, I can't let you leave here alive. Shadowless Ancestor's expression was ferocious. His secret couldn't be leaked, so Lin Fan had to die. A terrifying aura appeared on his body. A black storm spun rapidly around him, and countless black laws surged between heaven and earth. The terrifying power could tear everything apart. Humph, you're just a soul. You can't use much power. Do you really think you're still at your peak? Lin Xian huffed coldly. The sword chi on his body became even more terrifying. Buzz. A large black palm reached out from the black storm. It carried countless laws and shrouded forward. It seemed that it wanted to grab Lin Xian and crush him. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Xian pulled out the spear of destruction and slashed forward with several sword chi. Sword chi spun in the sky one after another, as if it was going to split the sky and earth apart. Boom, 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 boom. The death chi was cut apart. Shadowless Ancestor's body shook. He was shocked. Indeed, his strength was no longer at his peak, but it wasn't something that a young boy could resist. He'd already checked Lin Fan. He was a level 1 saint, and an early one at that. It seemed that Lin Fan had just become a saint. Such a person was like an ant in front of him. But now, Lin Fan's swordsmanship was beyond his expectations. Interesting. No wonder you can come here. It seems that you're a genius who can fight above your level. Unfortunately, I don't take a genius like you seriously. Young man, I can only say that you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. My strength isn't something that you can guess. As he spoke, the death chi on his body became even more terrifying. The laws danced, forming a door of death. Now, your life is mine. Looking at your body, it should be some kind of super strong body. Your flesh is a great supplement for me. Shadowless laughed. The gate of death in the sky blossomed with a jet-black light. The eerie ghost chi pressed down, as if it was really going to swallow Lin Xian whole. The aura on it could instantly turn a sage into a dried corpse. Lin Xian held the Great Destruction Spear and drew a strange arc in the sky. He used stellar transposition. All of a sudden, the death energy flew to the sides under the stellar transposition. None of it could get close to him. How dare you have designs on me? You're really courting death. I'll also show you my strength. Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved the Great Destruction Spear, shooting out an incomparably cold sword chi. Streaks of sword chi blossomed with resplendent light, and a powerful aura slashed forward. Outside the ancestral land, countless members of the Shadowless family were waiting anxiously. Why hadn't the clan chief come out after such a long time? Could it be that something went wrong? How is that possible? Our old ancestor is inside. An existence like that is enough to suppress everything. No matter how powerful that kid is, he's no match for Rat. Indeed, when they thought of the old ancestor, they all breathed a sigh of relief and then sneered. That kid had probably been killed by now. Among them, many looked at Hua Feiyu and sneered. When the clan chief came out later, they would teach Hua Feiyu a lesson. They would let her know the consequences of betraying the family. Hua Feiyu's body was cold, and her scalp was numb. To be honest, she was about to lose all hope. Could Lin Xian really withstand it? That was the old ancestor of the Shadowless family. What a terrifying existence. Once Lin Xian was killed, what awaited her would be a fate worse than death. She felt that she could barely stand. However, at that moment, the ancestral land in front of her started to shake. There was a muffled sound of thunder, and the surrounding ground kept shaking. What was going on? Was it an earthquake? No, the shaking was coming from the ancestral land. The surrounding people screamed crazily. Their gazes were fixed on the cave abode in front of them, and their eyes were full of disbelief. Why would there be such a situation in the ancestral land? One should know that the ancestral land had not experienced any energy fluctuations for many years. But now, the fluctuations were getting more and more intense. Could it be that the people inside were fighting? They sucked in a breath of cold air. Hua Feiyu was stunned, and a glimmer of hope appeared on her pale face. It seemed that Lin Wudi was really fighting with their old ancestor. This meant that Lin Wudi was not dead yet. Thinking of this, she clenched her fists and prayed in her heart that Lin Wudi must win. Boom, boom, boom. The sound was getting louder and louder, and countless cracks appeared all around, and the ancestral land was shaking more and more. Finally, with a loud bang, the two quaint doors were torn apart and a figure flew out. Following that, another person rushed over like a bolt of lightning. I told you, you're just a person who shouldn't exist. You're not in your peak state back then. Do you really think I can't do anything to you? Lin Xian's sword Qi soared to the sky, and the great spear of destruction was unparalleled. The person opposite him, on the other hand, had disheveled hair, like a demon, and a dark aura around him. Outside, the Shadowless clan were all stunned. They recognized that the powerful person was Lin Wudi. The one with disheveled hair was their clan leader. But at this moment, their clan leader's aura was completely different from before. Not only was he stronger, but his yin qi was deep and cold, and it made their hair stand on end. Some of them exclaimed. This was not their clan leader, but their old ancestor. The soul of their old ancestor had descended to control their clan leader's body. Basically, their old ancestor had been resurrected. But what frightened them was that their old ancestor had been beaten out, and he seemed to be at a disadvantage. They could not believe it. Was the young man opposite them already so terrifying? The Shadowless clan was going crazy. Hua Feiyu was also stunned, but then she was overjoyed. Great. She had finally made the right bet. Is this our old ancestor? Impossible. Why is our old ancestor being suppressed? Many of the Shadowless clan were screaming like crazy. However, several elders roared angrily. Among them, one of them said coldly, "Shut up, all of you. What do you know? This is just a wisp of our old ancestor's soul. Don't worry, even a wisp of his soul can kill him. Because our old ancestor was a sage king when he was alive." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.